Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm your host, Dax Harris. I'm joined by Monica Sam.
That's me.
Today we have one of our few returning guests.
Yeah.
Small pool.
That's right.
Sam Harris, he's a neuroscientist, a philosopher, and a best-selling author. He's also got a very popular podcast that we like called Making Sense Podcast. And he has a new app called Waking Up App, which is all about meditation. And on this episode with Samuel, if I could.
Samuel Harrison.
We talk way more about, just overall mental health, mindfulness. Yeah, it's a really fun exploration because he's well-versed on several topics, but one in particular, he's super into meditation and has dedicated his life to it. So it was a really fun conversation and a much different speed than our last, and hopefully we'll have many other speeds in the future. So please enjoy Sam Harris. We get support from Quince.
So we've been talking about Quince a lot lately, and as we head into fall, it's the perfect time to reset your wardrobe with their amazing pieces. I think it's so fun to do when the seasons turn over to just spruce up your wardrobe with a couple specials, and Quince is the place.
Totally. We're talking organic cotton, Mongolian cashmere, tailored chinos from just $60. Premium fit and quality you'd expect from a luxury brand designer. I love Quince. I like it understated and subtle, and I like stuff that has high quality. And Quince checks all those boxes.
I love a lot of stuff from Quince. Honestly, they have incredible premium denim, which is very important for fall. It's pretty much all I wear in the fall is denim. And Quince has such a good selection of quality denim. Their stuff is so versatile, timeless, and built to last that you just grab every single day without thinking.
Right. And all of that for 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They go direct to ethical factories, cut out the middlemen, so you get all that quality without overpaying for it.
We love that. And they do way more than clothes. They have bedding, cookware, bath essentials, travel must-haves, same deal, and great quality.
Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/Dax. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/Dax.
We get support from Skims. Oh man, do I love Skims. I've been living in the Skims lightweight cotton collection all summer, and I have to tell you, getting dressed has become so easy. I just throw it on. It just feels right immediately, whether I'm grabbing coffee or I'm on the couch all day or I'm out, even going to dinner. The cotton is so lightweight and breathable, which in this heat is a non-negotiable. The cotton jersey t-shirt, I just need everyone to know about this one. This one hugs in all the right places. It's very soft and it still looks and fits the same after months of washing, which is very hard to do, I feel, with t-shirts. I've been wearing the black cotton jersey t-shirt with basically everything all summer long. It goes great with any pattern skirt or shorts or pants. I mean, anything truly. I believe that's probably my favorite piece from the cotton collection, but they also have great lightweight cotton thongs that are so comfortable and they're cute. That is a very, very hard mix to achieve, especially with undergarments. I feel if you can find some that are cute, but also comfortable and do the job, that is a win. And Skims has really, really figured that out with the lightweight cotton collection. Shop Skims cotton and all of my favorite pieces at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select Armchair Expert in the drop-down menu that follows.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Sam Harris.
Round two,
Sam Harris. I imagine well, I hope that you run into this problem. You might not because of your superior intelligence. But last night it crossed my mind like, hey, maybe I should listen to Sam and I's first interviews so that I don't just stupidly ask him the exact same questions.
I think it's unlikely we're going to repeat that.
No, we're not going to. By the way, complaints aside, I was super interested.
It was
once
great.
again, what you were saying last night, I was like, oh yeah, I'm super interested in it. I just love that moral philosophy question you posed, that you murder everyone in the middle of the night and no one's left alive to suffer.
Right.
And
What's wrong with that? Some people have an intuition that really is a victimless crime because there's no suffering and there's no one to be bereaved by it. So
Yeah.
how is that bad? If you don't recognize that there's some value in all the goodness you're closing the door to,
Yeah.
then it's very difficult to parse. But Annika has a bit of a nihilistic streak in her, and she can get going on that not being necessarily a bad thing, which makes her the biggest psychopath of all time.
Yeah, I can too. The times that I can are, I guess this would be nihilistic. Monica and I's favorite thought exercise is to imagine the aliens hovering above Earth, just
Right.
watching what we do,
Yeah.
Laughing at us.
laughing, and then sometimes finding us quite cute. Like
Oh, yeah.
we were at a hotel and the balcony overlooked this wedding area, and we were watching this great wedding. It was a Jewish wedding, and so they were singing and doing all this stuff, and I thought, boy, the aliens are like, oh, sometimes these monkeys get together and they dress this way and they sing and they step on a glass and everyone's happy.
Yeah.
And this is lovely of us.
Yes.
A lot of it's head scratchy, but then some of it's like, oh, the aliens are probably digging this right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I often think, yeah, I mean, you can overthink a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of monkeys trying to stay busy until we're dead. I mean, that's really at the heart of everything, isn't it? It's like once you wind yourself up, you do have to remember we're just another species on planet Earth just staying busy and fed.
Yeah, except our creativity has really allowed us to fly the perch of evolution. I mean, we're not just monkeys in the end,
Well, tell me why. Make a case for why we're not just monkeys. Because when you agree that we do like to think of ourselves as like 300 deviations above a chimp, but that's just not the case. We're only like a couple. We're not that far off.
Well, there is a quantum difference and a binary difference between us and every other species in that the leverage we get from being able to use language, create culture, basically create an operating system for the rest of the species wherein the acquired knowledge doesn't get lost generation after generation. I mean, just imagine what it would be like to lose all of this. I mean,
Every generation.
all the institutional
Yeah.
knowledge, all the
Yeah.
technical knowledge. I mean, how do you just having to reinvent everything, including, computation and computers, and it would be hopeless, right?
Yes.
So every person born today, I mean, these are, the kind of the trivial things we can observe, but like anyone who goes to school, even in elementary school, understands more about certain things than all of humanity did, even
Or even the
200 years ago.
greats,
Yeah.
Right.
Plato or...
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that inheritance gives us so much leverage, and ultimately it'll give us the leverage to change ourselves genetically and change the germline and integrate ourselves directly with technology. And in some ways, we're already integrated with our technology because we're so dependent on it for communication and information retrieval. I mean, we're functioning like cyborgs in a way. I mean, we're kind of neurotic cyborgs. I mean, our technology is driving us a little crazy and,
Sure.
and shattering society.
Yeah.
But
Splintering all of us.
Yeah, we have to get a handle on that. But where all of this is headed is not clear. And I think the future of creativity and insight is truly open-ended in a way that it's not for any other species. I mean, the chimps are going to be doing what the chimps did 1,000 years ago, 1,000 years from now,
Yes.
unless we decide to change them somehow.
Yeah, right. But do you think, because I just had Malcolm Gladwell on, which is one of your greatest interviews ever.
That's right.
For people who don't know, Malcolm invited you on, which I
I
imagine
don't know. I don't think I know.
Oh, you don't? This is one of the great,
The truth is, I didn't even know until it happened.
which was my assumption. I imagine you like him like I do.
Yeah.
You love his books and stuff, and just to get to talk to him would be an honor.
And I'd never spoken to him before, so there was very little context. But he was interested in the writing I had done on self-defense and violence, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not clear how this was going to be framed, or what the context was, or the narrowness of the focus.
And for the 10% of people who might not know who you are, not things that you're associated with being
No.
an expert in self-defense and security.
This is my side gig.
Hey,
yeah.
right. This is
My side hustle.
at best could be described as a hobby.
Right. yeah.
Okay. So he gets invited onto Malcolm Gladwell's podcast, and he says basically, if there's a home invasion and the perpetrator takes your family hostage, what's the best move? And Sam basically said it's wisest for the adult to flee the
To run
scene.
out.
Right, yes.
Which, you lay out a really compelling argument, and I think you're ultimately right. But what a gut check.
Yeah. Well, first of all, in the interest of my own PR, this solution doesn't originate with me. Right?
Okay.
And I had to be sold on this. And first of all, it's not the generic solution to that problem. Like, you have to stipulate a few things before that's the thing you should do.
Okay.
I mean, if you can effectively fight back, well, then by all means
Bring it
fight
on.
back.
Yeah,
And I have lots of thoughts about that.
Sure.
But if you are in the situation where it is a choice between lying down on the floor and getting immobilized, right? You're going to get tied up in front of your family, right? Or you can run.
Mm-hmm.
Running is better because running starts the clock ticking where the person who now is holding your family hostage knows that you're now summoning help, right?
I think that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I think he mounted a really successful argument.
What, did Malcolm freak out or something?
No, I think he enjoyed it because it was like provocative.
Yeah, it's
It's
provocative.
a fairly emasculating argument.
It is. It's incredibly
to go live with.
in all of, I think maybe it's a male thing, maybe it's a female. I think it's a male thing. But yes, I would say of 7 nights a week that I fall asleep, 3 of the nights before I go to bed, I do plot out some kind of scenario where I'm going to defend my family that evening in the middle of the night. It's something that's always in my mind. And so in these 100,000 scenarios I've created in my mind, never did I just sprint out the door. So when you hear
I think it's
someone
great.
you respect say that that's the move, it really takes you off guard.
What you have to imagine is the look on your family.
Oh my God. That
when you
would
make
be
your break. Yeah.
that would almost be worse than surviving for
the
me.
look in your daughter's eyes when you flee the room.
But in actuality, you probably wouldn't. Even if you knew logically that was the thing to do.
It's an extremely hard thing to imagine doing. But the bright line I think you need to have, which I would defend really against any challenge, is that you should never let yourself be immobilized.
Well, I was going to say, you kind of reverse
true.
engineering a very commonly known thing, which is you never go to a second location with somebody. It's better to get shot right there in the street than get in a car and end up at a second location.
Nothing good ever happens to the person who's taken to a secondary crime scene.
Yeah.
Right. This is
Right. It's never a surprise birthday party.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. And you know this from the movies, but you also know this from just reading what the police say about what happens in those cases. So, it never gets easier to fight for your life with whatever tools you have available than it is right when somebody is saying, get in the car and drive.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, right?
I'm going to make a weird parallel, but that's kind of, it reminds me of the rule in off-road racing, which is whenever you're freaked out, floor it. Because the front of the car will get lighter. And whatever you're going to hit or go over or jump off of, you're better off with a light front end. But it's a real counterintuitive muscle memory thing you have to train yourself out of. Like, oh, fuck.
Right.
Floor it.
I'm trying to figure out how to apply that to my life now.
I'm sure there's a bunch of ways. Yeah. But anyways, back to the Malcolm Gladwell thing. I was saying this cumulative knowledge that we're born into, in a weird way, is our Achilles, isn't it? In that your general person, myself included, I drive around all day long in this super high-tech car. I'm talking on a phone that's super high-tech. And then I just start feeling like I have accomplished this stuff, that I'm really brilliant. Again, so it's important to remember that, yes, we are smarter in an exponential fashion over chimps in ways, but at the same time, we're also dumber than we give ourselves credit for quite often, right?
Yeah. Well, this is a point that was made by David Krakauer, who's a very, really a wonderful biologist who's running the Santa Fe Institute, which is an interdisciplinary think tank that brings together biology and physics and economics. And they've been doing fascinating work for decades now. And his point about this is that certain technology is cognitively competitive with our acquired talents, and other technology is cognitively complementary. So certain tools you use make you worse at doing things that other people who never had those tools were actually pretty good at. Right? So like navigating, like GPS, most people can't read maps anymore or find their way in a city because they never took the time to figure out where anything was because they're totally dependent on their phones.
Yeah.
So that's cognitively competitive with us. But there are other tools. I mean, language itself, it gives you, just learning a language and learning arithmetic. You can learn this with pencil and pen in the world, but you internalize it and it actually allows you to do things that you couldn't otherwise do.
Yeah.
And his favorite example of this, which I don't have any experience of, is an abacus, which apparently once people get good with an abacus, they internalize it and they can do it with their minds. They don't actually need a physical abacus.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question we're getting worse at certain things. And if our tools fail, we'll be on a very crowded episode of Survivor where nobody knows anything.
Well, the reason it came up with him is that, his new book, Talking to Strangers, is just really pointing out how terrible we are at communicating with one another. If we're in an in-group and they're in an out-group of any kind you want to construct, whether it's police and people getting pulled over or innumerable ways we don't understand different groups, that we're so bad at it. And the question is, why do we think we're so great at it, And I think it's because we are aware of that many people can communicate with different cultures and they understand those things, and we see it pretty regularly. So we just kind of assume that we're probably not bad at it, but in fact, we're quite bad at it.
And we could be getting worse at it. I mean,
I think perhaps we're getting worse at it, too.
Yeah. And technology would be culpable for that.
Okay, so when you and I emailed, we talked about we're going to have a different conversation today. And it's one that you and I were kind of made to have for different reasons. But the topic today is living an examined life. Before we even drill down into the particulars of that, globally, do you ever think to yourself, sometimes I'll really be on the hamster wheel upstairs and I'm employing all the tools I have at my disposal. And this thought pops up in my head, which is like, how about just stop fucking thinking and exist on planet Earth? I have some fantasy that there are people who are just waking up and they're having coffee and then they go to bed that night and everything just happened and it didn't require any self-analysis or inventory taking. And it seems a little bit luxurious and enviable. Does that not even exist? Is there a human being that's just kind of floating through life and is not plagued by all this racket?
Well, it can just take some heroic work to get there. But yeah, there's no question that those people exist, or people.
But out of the factory, do you think off the line anyone does? No.
No, I think that's pretty unlikely.
Okay.
Or it may be some form of brain damage. But
okay.
But the high functioning, thoughtless person is that's the hard won feature of the operating system that you have to. I mean, meditation or some other path of recognizing that 99% of your self-talk is actually occurring to no good purpose. It's just producing largely negative emotions and expectations and rehearsals. It's not that thought is not useful. I mean, again, thought, to go back to where we started, thought is the thing that differentiates us from chimps. Right? Virtually it's entirely a matter of being able to articulate ideas both to ourselves and to other people and then act on those concepts. But we're totally taken in by these concepts, and we live at a layer of discursivity within our own minds where we're having a conversation with ourselves, which in some strange way presupposes that there's more than one of us there, right? It's the I is talking to the me in a way that seems frankly psychotic. I mean, if you externalized it, if you just didn't keep your mouth shut, you would be the crazy person on the sidewalk who is demonstrably crazy because they're talking to themselves. But everyone is talking to themselves all day long anyway. They're just not vocalizing it.
Yeah. Oh, it's nary a quiet moment in my head.
Yeah,
I
same.
mean, almost never.
Well, but everyone discovers that when they try to meditate or do any practice where when you're asked to focus on anything without getting lost in thought. I mean, this is a challenge that we could give to our listeners. But if they just tried to focus on anything for 15 seconds, there'd be the people who would, at some point in those 15 seconds, a thought is going to appear unrecognized. They won't see a thought as a thought. It'll simply seem to be what they are,
Right.
And they'll be thinking, they'll think, well, I can do this for 15 seconds. That's easy. But they're already lost in thought, right?
Right.
They're not, and they're not recognizing that.
Yeah, even going this is going well. I'm
right on the breath. Look, I'm seeing the bird outside.
I'm a natural at this.
Yeah, no, this is easy. Well, what's this guy talking about? The conversation has started and they won't have noticed. And then the other cohort will be the people who recognize just how ceaselessly they're getting buffeted by thought and how vulnerable their attention is in each moment, and how it's just very hard to pay attention for even 3 seconds at a time. And then there'll be a tiny band of expert meditators who will be able to do it, right? But it really is as much of a training as being able to hit a golf ball 300 yards, right? Like it looks
Yeah.
easy. Like the ball's not moving. It's just sitting there on the tee. You just have to swing once and you hit it and it goes straight and, problem solved, right?
Right.
But when you think of how much training goes into being able to do that reliably.
Well, you did a great, great job. You played an excerpt from your app on your podcast. So the app is Waking Up, and then you played an excerpt on Making Sense. And you just kind of asked this great question. It definitely got me thinking while I was driving it. Side note, your voice is one of the few things that can get my racket to stop. It's
Wow.
very hypnotic. It's one of the things I like most about you.
Well, the irony is I have this Waking Up app, but many people use it to fall asleep because I have such a monotone.
hypnotic voice.
Yeah.
I have dozed off listening to it, and I thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's also a goal of mine, is to doze off.
That's sanctioned use of it.
But you kind of just asked the question of there's so much stuff to focus on in life. And what do you want to focus on? And that's a decision you make. And it's kind of something that I don't want to say take for granted, but just like your eyes open. In my case, I hear two people fighting almost every morning. There's a 4 and a 6-year-old that are into some, dust up over God knows what.
Right.
And so my eyes open, and now I'm attending to that, and then it goes straight into the routine, and then, or maybe I had to get up and rush out the door, go to work, whatever. And then one thing just happens after another, and at no point do I take like 10 minutes to go like, oh, what did I want to focus on today, or what direction am I trying to aim this ship in? Any of these things, none of us are really making time to even evaluate that we get to choose what we focus on, and then it can be very hard and challenging to focus on the things we'd like to. I'll even be laying in bed with my daughter reading a book, which is, I would imagine, the thing that's going to be purest and most joy-inducing, and often it is. And then yet often while it's happening, I'm reading out loud. I can hear the words coming out, but I'm off fantasizing about 9 different things I need to do. And I think, God, you fucking piece of shit, you can't even be present for this thing. It's always, I'm most disappointed in those moments when it's like, God, I want to put these in the vault for the rest of my life. And yet I'm thinking about, how much mileage I'm racking up driving to Santa Clarita every day.
Yeah, well, I mean, this comes back to what it would mean to live an examined life and why that would be a better default program than the one that's installed. Many of us notice that our real wealth, our time is the non-renewable resource. You don't get a second of it back, and you don't know how much you have. That is the frame in which we're living, and we're only temporarily associated with all the things we can acquire in this time. Even more deeply than that, what we have is our attention, because we know we can squander our time even when we guard it. I mean, you can guard an hour to spend with your child, say, I'm really just going to read her a book. I'm a good dad. She's going to love this. Right.
Writing the story of my identity.
This is and we can still blow it if our attention is elsewhere, right? So really the cash value of guarding your time is to use your attention wisely each moment. And once you understand that that's the game, on some level, you can bring that tool into any other use of your time, because you will just inevitably find yourselves in situations that don't seem like a good use of your time. You're in the doctor's waiting room and he's an hour late, and you're just sitting there with a bunch of bad magazines in front of you. Mm-hmm. Once you understand that you are really only as fulfilled as your attention is in each moment. I mean, it's like really the difference between happiness and suffering, or, wisdom and confusion, is using attention in a profound way. And, meditation is really the art of breaking that spell so that your attention can actually be free and available to simply put it where you want it to be. So if you're relating to your daughter in that moment, to actually have free attention is to be able to pay so much attention to her that you essentially disappear.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
in its best cases, that is what happens.
Yeah.
I guess the thing I always think about, and as I get spells of being busier and busier, and I'm going from 1 to 3 jobs, never would I would have thought I would have said this, and I still haven't seen the movie, but I know the concept of the movie, this Adam Sandler movie, Click, where it's like, I think
I never saw.
I didn't either, but if I'm getting it right, he gets a magic remote control, and he can basically just fast forward through the stuff that he doesn't want to be doing. And I find myself regularly going like, okay, I got to get through this week at work shooting the show so that I can get to this, so I can get to that. And then also with some overall awareness of like, well, then that puts you 3 years down the road because that's just the nature of life. It'll be one thing after another until you're on your deathbed going, oh, wow, I wasn't terribly present for most of that.
I'm glad I raced ahead to this moment. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that is worth lingering on because, this mirage-like quality to every experience is something that we can notice and we can price that in. Now, it's like when you're looking forward to something, when you're looking forward to the weekend or the vacation or whatever it is, you have to recognize that you are essentially deferring your happiness to some future point which you already know will never truly arrive, right? Because like when you're on the vacation, you're dealing with the hassle of checking into the hotel. And when you're in the hotel, there is some other hassle that you're dealing with, or you just get
the same fight that happens at home's happening in the hotel room, and I'm closer now.
Yeah, it's a smaller room, and you have your kids have fewer toys, right? And then you're bouncing between the beach and the pool, and then you got to put on sunblock. And if I can only get this sunblock on, now I got to get it off, right? And it's just you never arrive unless you can actually let your attention land in the present moment, and to be able to do that. Again, is a skill. I mean, it's worth viewing well-being as a skill, right? It's not it's something you can learn or fail to learn or learn badly. I mean, there are right and wrong answers here with respect to how to use your mind. Like,
I do think most people have a kind of knee-jerk thought of like, well, I can't meditate. I'm not the type of person that can sit still. So
right. That's true of almost everyone in the beginning. I mean,
everyone. Howard Stern always talks about transcendental meditation. I thought, oh, well, if he liked it, I'll try it, thinking I'm not a bad candidate. I somehow put it in the category of that I'm a bad candidate for hypnosis, when you see like a live show.
Yeah.
Because you think you're too smart for it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that is
I don't even
different.
know. It's something along those lines, but I don't know that smart is just...
No, so some people are more susceptible or less susceptible to hypnosis. That is true. I mean, there's a scale. There's a Stanford scale of hypnotizability. But meditation for virtually everybody is a skill that they simply don't have in the beginning. And I mean, some people show a natural aptitude for it, but it's like, anything, juggling or riding a unicycle or something that you just have not done, you don't know how to do it. The worst case, and in the most common case, there's a fairly long interval there where people think they're actually doing it, but they're actually so distracted they can't even notice their capacity for distraction. Right? They just close their eyes and they think with their eyes closed. And they think, well, okay, I just meditated.
Yeah, and I don't feel that great.
Yeah, right.
Where are the rewards?
Yeah. This is not very interesting.
Well, a couple concepts that I think are fun to bring up. I had never truly understood Buddhism. I had read Siddhartha in high school, and then it wasn't until I read Yuval Harari's book, Homo Deus. He articulated it in a way that I was like, oh, I fully understand that, and I can relate to it. I had known the old axiom of like life is suffering. I guess derives from Buddhism, in some way.
Yeah, although it's actually based on a mistranslation.
Oh, here we go. Talking to strangers.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not, there's obviously a lot of suffering in life, right? And it's inevitable, right? We will encounter old age and sickness and death. And, even if everything works great for us and we live to be 1,000, we will see the people around us dying and that will be a source of suffering. So that kind of gross suffering is intrinsic to life, but the Buddha's point that's often translated as life is suffering is actually a translation of the Sanskrit term dukkha, which is best translated as unsatisfactory or unsatisfactoriness. And it comes back to this mirage-like quality that we were just discussing, where because experience by its very nature is impermanent, right? Like first it's not there, and then it's there, and then it goes away, right? Conditions come together,
or becomes some memory that really probably doesn't even bear any resemblance to the anatomical truth of what happened.
But then you're just left with the memory, right? Yeah. So you're and then that just keeps arising, but then that passes away, right? So there's nothing stays in consciousness. There's no durable sense impression that you can just stick with, right? Like, so you can't get the taste of ice cream so fully. You can't fill your mouth with enough ice cream so that it just stays like ice cream.
Yeah.
And the truth is that the paradox there is that you wouldn't even want it to. So we're trying to anchor our well-being to a cascade of changing sensory and emotional phenomena, and it's just trying to grab onto a waterfall, right?
Well,
it's not. It's so the Buddhist point about suffering there or unsatisfactoriness is that he wasn't denying that there are all kinds of levels of happiness to be experienced. It's just they're all impermanent, and so that's that instability where people are led to believe that they can successfully become happy, just as you said, deferring their happiness to such a time where the present moment is just going to yawn wide enough. You've checked off everything on your to-do list for all time.
Yeah.
Everyone around you, there's no problems, there's no conflict, and now you can just enjoy your family and your dotage. But the reality is that you actually can't become happy. You can only be happy. And our efforts to become happy are efforts to arrange the world in such a way that we have a good enough reason for that period of time until something bad happens to actually relax into the present moment and give ourselves license to be happy, right?
Yeah.
But that is a quality of attention that you can actually marshal directly. And if you can't marshal it directly, the happiness you achieve by arranging everything on the Titanic will be, again, fleeting, right? It'll last for an hour.
Right.
And then the next doubt will arise or the next desire will arrive.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
We are supported by Walden University. You know that feeling when you've been thinking about making a move, going after the degree, the promotion, the thing you keep telling yourself you'll get to someday? Walden University is built for that moment. For over 50 years, Walden has helped working professionals get the W, the knowledge, the skills, and the confidence to create real change in their careers and communities. Their programs are designed around your life, not the other way around. With Tempo Learning available in select programs, there are no rigid schedules or set weekly deadlines. You move at your own pace. And Walden's faculty aren't just academics. They're practitioners who bring real-world experience into everything they teach. From your first class to career coaching and beyond, Walden is your partner the whole way. Take the first step and learn at a pace that works for you. Visit waldenu.edu. Walden University. Set a course for change. Certified to operate by Chev. This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. We've talked before about Rob building our website on Squarespace, and I bring it up again because it's a perfect example of what they do well. Rob had all the pieces, the content, the vision, the ideas, but he needed something to actually take all that and make it public facing. And Squarespace was that bridge. Maybe you're in the same spot. You've been developing something, a business, a skill set, a body of work, and it's been private. It's been yours. But at some point, you're ready to put it out there, and that transition from private to public can feel like a huge leap. Squarespace makes it feel like a step. Beautiful templates, built-in SEO, email campaigns, scheduling, analytics, everything you need to go from I've been working on this to here it is, come find me. All in one place, no code, no stitching together a bunch of different tools. So if you've been sitting on something and waiting for the right moment, this might be it. Head to squarespace.com/DAX for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code DAX to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. We get support from Apple Gift Card. Back to school is here, and for many, that means some big life transitions. Whether they are heading into a new grade or setting up a dorm for the first time, you want to give them something that actually supports their growth and success. Apple Gift Card is a versatile solution because it takes the guesswork out of gifting. It's not just about a new pair of AirPods for focus. It's about giving them the invaluable chance to choose the digital tools and subscriptions that suit their unique journey. They can use it for productivity apps on the App Store, movie nights on Apple TV, or extra iCloud storage for all those new memories. With Apple Gift Card, it's so empowering to give the students their freedom to allocate their own resources. Celebrate their new academic chapter. Visit applegiftcard.apple.com to celebrate their milestones and gift one today. This episode is supported by Helix. All right, let's talk about something we both really care deeply about: sleep.
It's the most important thing. I've had my Helix mattress for years now, and I genuinely think it's one of the best investments you can make for your home. Mine still feels just like it did when I first got it.
Well, that's the thing. It's not one of those mattresses that caves in after 6 months. These things are built to last. And, I'm a side sleeper. I ordered a side sleeper and I get hot, so I have cooling. And I can't tell you how much more comfortable it is to be in there not sweating and tossing and turning.
Cooling is really important. I've read that you're supposed to sleep a little bit cold. So I also have cooling. And they have over 20 models, so it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. You just go take their quiz and they match you to what actually works for your body.
Plus, they've got cooling upgrades, which heading into summer, non-negotiable.
Truly.
Go to helixsleep.com/armchair for 20% off. That's helixsleep.com/armchair for 20% off. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/armchair. But back to Yuval, the thing, I guess unsatisfactory is a very similar word, is that he phrased it as the suffering is actually the craving. That craving is suffering. And that even if you're happy, our natural state of thought is to go, ooh, I recognize this is joyful. How do I either A, make this last forever, or how do I heighten it even one notch further? This is my thing I'm guiltiest of as an addict. I'm like, we're getting somewhere now. Let's double the dose.
Right. That's right.
I can only, I'm just doing math in my head of how great I could feel, even at the apex of serotonin and dopamine dump. It's that desiring another state of being that is so uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, and the neurology there is interesting because the main dopamine dump comes not in the actual satisfaction of the desire, it's in the anticipation of the satisfaction. Right, so it's like
junkies who throw up when they score the heroin before they even shoot it. They'll throw up sometimes.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, heroin in the right dose will make you throw up with euphoria. I've experienced it once on an MDMA where I threw up and I was like, "This is wonderful."
It's charming. Yeah,
my girlfriend Bree was throwing up,
yeah.
and I looked at her. I go, "Are you okay, honey?" And she goes, I've never been better.
Oh my God. Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow.
But anyways, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something that is counterintuitive, but if you pay attention, you can see that it's psychologically true that most of your desire, it doesn't fully land on the object of desire. You're tumbling forward to the next thing with every bite of ice cream.
Sex illustrates it really well as also. So you're not actually like fantasizing about the orgasm per se, but it's all the lead up that is the euphoria. And that can be hours of distraction as opposed to the event itself.
And much of it is the anticipation of, and again, this is true for sex, but it's actually true for drugs of abuse or anything else. It's the dopamine, to the medial frontal cortex is most triggered by the knowledge that the reward is definitely coming. It's like okay, I have the fix in hand. But that's the most reinforcing moment.
Yeah, boy, can I relate to that.
But don't you think some things in life are permanent, like a parent's love for a child or something? Like those are things that aren't feelings and aren't fleeting. They just exist in your world.
Well, this is what's so humbling about living an examined life. I mean, even among fairly wise, compassionate, enlightened, well-resourced people, you can recognize how fragile your love is. You're not a perfect, unconditional lover of even the people you love most in the world. I mean, just how obnoxious could your child be such that you would feel like, God, I just want to get out of the room, right? This emotion is not synonymous with love. Like you have this abstract idea that you love your child or you love your spouse, and even you may believe you love them unconditionally. But when you actually take a moment-to-moment inventory of the quality of your emotion in the company of these people, you are not St. Francis of Assisi, right?
No.
You are this reactive entity. Yeah, it's amazing to just see the kinds of judgments and the poverty of emotion you are capable of, even when you're surrounded by the people you love most in the world, who you've made the biggest commitment of time and energy for. Your attention is so vulnerable to the next.
I'll add, you take a totally uncomfortable moment, which is a screaming child. And of course, you don't think what happened warrants all this screaming. And then you add on another layer, or I do at least, where it's like, and now I feel guilty that I can't enjoy this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, God, I'm not the person I wished I was, on top of being inconvenienced and made uncomfortable by this other person. So it's like a double layer.
Yeah. Well, so for me, I think there's wisdom in that one sort of global goal that I think is worth having is to generally and more specifically live without regret. I mean, you want to get to the end of your life without massive regrets. And I think you want to more and more get to the end of every week and every day and every hour without regret, right? And so that you could look back on it and say, I would do it exactly that way again, right? And insofar as none of us even approach that, that is a statement of the chaos or just the negligence of our lives, right? I mean, we're not using our time wisely if at the end of every given day, the honest assessment would be, why the hell did I spend my time that way?
Right.
Like that's a catastrophe. I mean, that's you losing the only real resource you have, which is your time here. And what's ill understood is that mental training is a thing. Right. Now, we all know that physical training is a thing, but that used to be a fairly esoteric knowledge. I mean, if you go back 100 years or 120 years, the only people lifting weights were just these crazy guys at the circus, and I mean, they're literally wearing like that leopard skin singlet, in the circus, right?
Yeah.
And then if you just imagine trying to sell that activity to people who had no concept for it. So like, okay, let me get this straight. I'm going to walk around for an hour every day, just arbitrarily picking up heavy objects,
lifting and setting them down,
and doing it to the point of real discomfort. Right? It doesn't look fun. It isn't fun. Certainly not in the beginning. And what's the point? And now, basically, everyone understands the wisdom of doing this.
And there's a couple things we understand about it. A, it has benefit. I think anyone who's tried exercising with any regularity will immediately experience the benefits. But also we get really comfortable with the notion that there's no last workout. You're not going to have that perfect set. You got your six pack and nice pecs, and then you're done.
Right.
It's going to be an ongoing daily or other, whatever your program is, it never ends.
Yeah. And actually, it's interesting. That's where the analogy breaks down in a way that is to our advantage. I mean, it is a kind of a happy breakdown there, which is, there are gains you can make in meditation that you don't lose, and that don't actually, it's not that it really ends, but there's things you can recognize about the nature of the mind, which you will always recognize, or just that you can't, once seen, you can't unsee them.
Right.
And the seeing of these things actually changes you for the better. Right?
But also a daily practice or whatever fits into your life is obviously advisable, right? I mean, it's still
but again, the goal is to, from the point of view of meditation, is not to become a meditator.
Oh.
And it's not to become a good meditator.
Oh, okay.
It's to actually recognize something about the nature of your mind such that you don't suffer unnecessarily, for the rest of your life in whatever situations you happen to be in. And it's true that the path to making those discoveries for most of us does require a fair amount of training in meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So sitting, once a day or twice a day or going on long retreats, I mean, all that makes sense. But the analogy to physical exercise breaks down a little bit in that with working out, you'll get to the point where you're as fit as you can possibly be. If you get, very serious about it, you'll take it as far as you can take it, genetically, and then you'll begin to get older and older, and then you'll peak wherever at 35, right? And then it'll be all downhill from there. But
we're on the backside, you and I.
Yes, I've noticed. But it's still good for you, until your dying day, right? I mean, it's like this is the wise thing to do with your life. But the analogy would be, if it were possible at some point, doing pull-ups, right? Like if you could just do a set of 30 pull-ups clean, you'd have some kind of breakthrough where your back would be fit for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you're basically, you just occasionally just do a couple pull-ups just to remember that,
Yeah.
You know, that's how you got there, but you just have a fantastic back for the rest of your life, right?
That's the dream.
There's something analogous like that to that in meditation,
Yeah.
but it's not to negate that there's a lot of pull-ups involved for most people.
Let me ask you, another concept that it was introduced to me by Yuval, which I'm sure a lot of people knew before him, but that I'm really conscious of all the time now, your experiential self versus your narrative self. And ever since I've really comprehended that, I find myself being able to recognize what thing is being a service. So in the case of the crying kid, the experiential self, I don't know who enjoys that. You know, I don't know. Apparently you maybe could get to a point where you're like, oh yeah, this is life and I'm living it and I'm in the middle of it and that's great. But just in general, it's just hard on your ears and, you know, you're constantly coming up with a game plan, how you can finally get through to them to not do this behavior anymore.
That is, I don't want to sidetrack you, but because we have to talk about the experienced and remembered selves. But, you know, reframing can change your emotional relationship to situations like that. So like if you look at the crying kid and you think, okay, this is the video game that I'm in right now. And this is the video game of parenthood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been, you know, annihilated at this point, you know, 1,000 plays in a row. It's like this is the boss fight that I keep losing, right?
Right.
And so there has to be a way of just fundamentally transforming the situation. If you actually approach it like a game, right? That can just free up some cognitive resources.
Like, I have another shot at this.
Yeah, it's like, this is fantastic.
I've not gotten through to them in 6 years.
The crying child, you know, it's just fantastic.
Our first child was miraculously easy. We thought we should write a book. We're so good at it.
Now you've leveled up,
Yeah, and then the second one came, it's just like everything that worked does not work with this person.
Yeah.
Which is a thrilling challenge. I like the challenge of it. I'm like, I'm not going to quit trying to get through to her, figuring out how to, you know, gently steer her in one direction or the other. And so I guess in that way, when I have the presence of mind to go like, oh yeah, this is my fun challenge, that helps. But you also compared it to reframing things. You compared like if you dropped into a meditation and the experience was similar to dropping into the fourth set of a bench press. Those are both could be uncomfortable things, but just the knowledge that when you're physically exercising, you go, oh, well, this is going to result in gains. This is going to be ultimately beneficial. I'm going to have a reward that maybe lasts the next 15 hours. That is all just mental framing. It's objectively uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? And yet you think your way through that.
Yeah, well, the thing to recognize there is that so much of our sense of whether an experience is good or bad is the conceptual frame. So I like that analogy of those of us who are, you know, addicted to working out. We love it. I mean, with the pain is part of, you know, the feeling of going to muscle failure when you're lifting weights. That's part of why we're doing it. I mean, we like that experience.
Yeah.
That if you woke up in the middle of the night with those sensations, you'd call 911 and you'd be terrified, right? So it's because you don't have a coherent story as to why you're feeling this way. Whereas in the gym, this is part of the program and it's part of your pleasure. So, but back to the point you just raised about the experiencing self and this more retrospective, it's often called the remembered or the remembering self.
Right.
This is not due to Yuval. This is due to Danny Kahneman. So I sort of disagree about with respect to how to interpret these data. But this is what the data show, that there's really two apparently incompatible ways in which we can score our well-being, right? And so there's the moment-to-moment question that can be answered of what is it like to be us, right? Just second by second throughout our lives.
Right now, you and I are sitting in a room. It's a little chilly. I'm thinking, I could have left that heater on, but I was nervous it was going to get too hot mid-interview. Like that's happening right now.
Right. Yeah. So there's this. Our life is doled out in these moments, and you can track people's sense of well-being, and the way they operationalize this scientifically is they give people essentially like a beeper or probably now an app on their phone which pings them at random moments throughout the day, and they just have to report their sense of well-being at that moment. Just like how good do you feel right now, right?
What is the metric? Is it like just out of 10 or what?
Yeah, I think it's. I think okay. I haven't actually done an experiment like this, but it would be some scale of 1 to 10. Just 1 being I'm absolutely miserable, and 10 being this is one of the greatest moments of my life. And then you just get lots of 5s and 6s and 7s, and then that obviously bears some relationship to the things that are going on in their lives, right? But what you discover is that a lot of that signal is, all of the dukkha, all of the unsatisfactoriness of life. I mean, just being stuck in traffic, and I just broke a shoelace, and it's like all these little things, these micro moments,
Yeah.
right, that are annoying, that keep people somewhere around their happiness set point, whatever it is. I mean, some people are lucky; they have a much higher
They hit
set
the
point.
lottery,
than,
yeah.
And some people are fairly depressive, and so there's the thought that if you could just add up all those moments, that would be the way to tally a person's well-being, right? But the problem is that when you talk to people and you just ask, how's it going? How's your life? You invoke a very different module in the brain. You get this what Danny Kahneman calls the remembering self, which is this part of the mind that has apparent access or thinks it has access to some global appraisal
story.
of life. You're not thinking about what it was like to be at the dry cleaners and recognize that they'd lost your shirt, and you're like, that's 10 minutes of your life, right? Like, that's not what's showing up there. That's...
You go like, I went to college. I graduated. And I had kids. That was a goal.
Your kids are basically healthy, and you've got a good marriage, and you got a vacation that's coming in 6 months, that you're looking forward to. And then you have that particular module also applies to any discrete period of experience. So if you have an hour with somebody, right? And when asked how that hour was, the only person in you who can talk is not the person who can take a perfect inventory of all of the seconds in that hour. It's the person who will just remember the peak experience and what that was like, and the most recent. There's a strong recency effect. So it's called the peak end rule. The way the remembering self assesses the quality of an experience, whether it was a vacation or a dinner or any discrete period of time, you basically remember the positive or negative valence of the most intense part of the experience, and you remember how it ended. Right. So if on your vacation, if you're checking out of the hotel and something horrible happens with the bill or whatever, like it's twice as much as you thought, and they that back propagates to the whole vacation, and you feel like I'm never going to Maui again. Right.
Well, weirdly, we have this shared friend, Steve Brill, now. Right.
Nice, yeah.
Steve Brill has this great thing he always says, where like you ask a guy like, "Oh, you went to Prague? Did you like it?" Don't go to Prague. Right. Prague's the worst. Oh, I hate Prague. Oh, really? What is the food's bad? No, I fucking lost my wallet like on the second day. You come to find out the whole... It's just all about the person lost their wallet on that vacation.
Is there research on the percentage of people who remember things positively versus negatively, or is it just all 50-50?
Yeah, well, I'm sure there is. I actually don't know. But the important point is that you can really uncouple these things, right? So like you can be somebody who is wrong about what it was like to be you through all of those micro moments of an experience, let's say a vacation, and then you have a global assessment of it that doesn't actually bear much relationship to what it was like to be you. But the issue, and this is what's so interesting about Danny's work here, is that the truth is that the only one who makes decisions about what to do in life is the one who's anchored to these global assessments. It is the remembering self. So when you talk to people about what they want and what satisfied them globally about their lives, you're not tracking the moment-to-moment well-being issue much at all. You're tracking the memories. And so, on Danny's account, people are trying to acquire satisfying memories. That is the modus operandi for
myself included,
living a satisfying life. And yet that is actually almost fully divorceable from the moment-to-moment question of what it's like to be them. And this is where he and I disagree. I mean, he basically has decided it is hopeless to try to integrate these two modules, right? Like you can't, there is no there when thinking about human well-being, really, because the person you talk to is the one who's making the decisions. He's the only one who comes online when making a global evaluation of how good life is. But it's uncoupled from the moment-to-moment reality of what it's like to be that person.
Well, the most concrete, I think, example that everyone can relate to is you're on Instagram and you're scrolling through all these stimulating photographs, and that could go on for 2 hours. And the whole 2 hours, you'll be, it's not the right word, but happy. You'll be entertained. You'll be focused on that thing, and it's distracting enough, whatever the thing is. And then at night, you're lying in bed and you go like, well, I spent 4 hours today scrolling through Instagram, and that's not at peace. That's the narrative or the remembered self. It's like, well, I'm writing this story of my life, and that's not an awesome chapter of my life that I stared at a 6x4 inch screen for 4 hours, right?
Right.
So I think when I was introduced to that concept, I leaned towards, I feel like you should be servicing the narrative side of your life. Like you should be servicing the thing you'd be proud of at the end of the day, the way you spent your time.
Yeah.
But what is curious, though, is that in the nihilist, the aliens are watching us from above, who gives a shit about the story? Is the story relevant? Like us summing up our lives and trying to decide whether it was a fruitful endeavor or not, is that not just ego? Like, I did these things. And if you sacrifice the experiential self for that narrative self, it's really tricky because I don't think spending your whole life looking at Instagram is advisable. Yet at the same time, I do think the narrative is just somewhat ego.
Yeah.
So it's it's hard to decide which way to point the ship.
Yeah, well, this is where my interest in meditation causes me to diverge from Danny's analysis of this, because I think you can actually integrate these two views of the mind and bring them into closer registers such that you're actually spending your moment-to-moment existence on Earth in more and more fulfilling ways. Once you recognize that your moment-to-moment sense of well-being is a matter of attention, it's really not a matter of the content of experience, right? So you can get it looking at Instagram if you're looking with the right frame of mind, and you can get it looking at anything else, right? So like literally you can get it just paying attention to your breath, which has to be the most boring object in the world. If the breath can become interesting and a source of actual rapture for a concentrated mind, well, then anything will do, right? Certainly Instagram will do. So the punchline is that it's possible to recognize that consciousness itself is already that way, that consciousness has an intrinsic openness and uncontractedness and self-sufficiency, that you can keep kind of dropping back into that. And when it seems like that experience is coming from the world, I mean, if you have some high associated with sex or athletics or some, you just got some great news and it just sort of cancels all of your worries, for the next 5 minutes, right? Like all is right with the world for that moment. What's being unlocked there is an intrinsic quality of just the consciousness itself, just the uncontracted state of being wide open to experience.
Right. And it would be easy to think that it was the event itself that caused it.
That's always the hallucination we're part of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like when I buy Air Jordans online, I at least do it with the knowledge that it's going to be 70 minutes tops.
Yeah, it's not going to be the last pair of Air Jordans.
I go like, I'm going to buy this and maybe for 70 minutes.
And you're not even wearing them now. So
I don't even enjoy wearing them.
Yeah.
I just enjoy feeling like I'm not the kid in high school that couldn't have them.
Yeah. So just to close the loop on this point, so Danny thinks it's hopeless to integrate these two, right? Mm-hmm. But I think you can keep both views of the mind in view and get them to converge. So you can recognize that your moment-to-moment feeling of well-being really is a matter of what you're doing with your attention, and be present, and then choose what you want to pay attention to, right? So like how long do you want to be angry for, right? Well, anger has arisen. Are you simply going to be identified with it, motivated to say the angry thing that deranges your life in that moment and your relationships to other people? Or do you want to actually just let it go and just literally let the neurophysiology of it dissipate and act with a clear head about what...
Well, I love when you talk about anger, because you when you were describing it at one point, I was like, oh my God, that is exactly how it works. Like you pointed out that the first 5 minutes or an hour, whatever, it's irrelevant, of it is just happening, right? Mm. You find out something you didn't want to find out or whatever's happening. But then you actually have to continue to shovel coal into that oven. Like you actively have to remember, oh yeah, I'm still pissed about this. And I think of another thing it's going to.
It's a mechanism that if you can't inspect it, well, then it just becomes you. But once you see how the machine works, then you actually have another degree of freedom where you can decide, okay, I can just get off this ride at any point, right?
Which is hard. It's
so
hard. And you're dead right. Like when you articulated, I was like, oh yeah, like I get angry at work, and then on my ride home, I'm just like throwing gas on it, and I'm coming up with even better points, and the email's getting longer and longer, or the conversation's getting longer, and I'm active in it. I'm.
But this is where the experiencing self and the remembering self can converge in their quality assessments, and they can get more and more accurate. The steward of the moment-to-moment experience can arrive at the place of global assessment and honestly say that went well. Like this, I'm now the kind of person who isn't gratuitously lighting his hair on fire,
right.
Several times a day.
Yeah.
And my relationships are better as a result. And the choices I'm making in my career are better as a result. So all of this can be made to converge, but it's important to recognize that there are many modules in the mind. I mean, this is not we're kind of a piecemeal congress of selves. I mean, there's not one unitary self who you can always talk to. The self in you that wants to lose weight is going to be usurped sometimes only minutes later by the self that wants the chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
And there's no one in charge, right? I mean, it's like a Darwinian contest of states of mind.
Well, in that Darwinian contest, I will say we're kind of hardwired for it to be a lopsided battle. We have way more things that are going to reward that bite of the chocolate chip cookie than the satisfaction of having avoided it and been proud of ourselves.
Yeah, but that's why, I mean, there's so much of getting the global story right is things like discipline and, having an ethical code. If you're entirely focused on the moment, even in a meditative sense, they're just things you can't decide to do that have a longer time horizon. Just like in order to be motivated by something that has a time horizon of 2 years, some part of you has to be able to focus that far out and stay aligned with it. Otherwise, you'll get up every day and have no plan.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are certain lives are amenable to that. I mean, you can be a Buddhist monk, and the only plan required in that office in life is just to pay more careful attention to the present moment. But there are many things in life we rightfully want to do. I mean, we want to build a durable civilization that allows for the most creative collaboration among strangers possible. We need more than just meditation to do that, right? We need ethics.
Right.
We need insight. We need institutions that enshrine our better judgment, so that when we're reliably mediocre, we have laws and norms that anchor us to something that's more forward leading. So.
Yeah. Well, one of the tricks in that for me is just like dedication to honesty with myself, which sounds so simple, and yet it's really not that simple. But it's like when I'm confronted with the hot fudge sundae at Big Boys, I go, you can do it, but you can't lie about it. So it's going to be awesome for 4.5 minutes, and then you're going to feel like shit for 3 hours. And as long as we agree on that, we're both recognizing this is the equation, go ahead and pick it. But you can't just go, oh, this is going to be awesome, and then there'll be no downside of it.
Yeah. And it is interesting, one's relationship to one's future self, right? So your future self inherits all the choices you're making now, right? And as you turn up the present focus, you can sort of break that connection. It's like what ethical responsibility do you actually have to your future self? Like if you want the hot fudge sundae now, the schmuck who's going to feel bad about it in 4.5 minutes is not really me, right?
Yeah.
And so that is, again, that's not the recipe for living a life without regret at every scale. Right?
Yeah. How does Buddhism attack that? Exactly what you said. If you're truly present.
Well, Buddhism is, so again, to come back to the framing you got from Yuval, which is accurate, Buddhism spends a lot of time focusing on craving as the source of dissatisfaction, right? So
Uh-huh.
like the optical illusion is that because we have all of this desire, the word in Sanskrit is tanha, which is literally translated as thirst, right? We thirst for experience.
Oh, yeah.
And because that's the operating system that's installed, we assume that the only mode of living that gets us anywhere worth going is to satisfy desire the moment it comes up. So just keep this like whack-a-mole with desire, right? And yet the unfortunate fact is that our capacity for desiring experience is bottomless, right? And experience is impermanent. So we're on this treadmill, or continually bailing water here. And so from a meditative point of view, the thing to recognize is that desire is also impermanent. I mean, you can literally just watch the desire for the hot fudge sundae or for the Air Jordans or whatever it is arise and pass away, and recognize that there was nothing you ever had to do. You didn't have to do anything about it, right? You could literally just
be inactive.
It's just don't move.
Yeah.
And then it's possible to have a mind that is actually not moved by desires of any kind.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app where you can bank, borrow, and invest all in one place.
Let's talk bank accounts for a second. The average bank savings rate is 0.39% in interest. You're earning pennies on your savings, but it does not have to be that way.
With SoFi high-yield checking and savings, the money barely making moves sitting in your savings account can earn over 8 times the national average savings rate with eligible direct deposit.
No account or overdraft fees, which feels rare these days. You can get your paycheck up to 2 days early, perfect for getting ahead of a bill or grabbing what you need right when you need it.
Plus, get up to a $300 welcome bonus when you sign up with eligible direct deposit. Sign up for SoFi checking and savings at SoFi.com/armchair. SoFi checking and savings is offered through SoFi Bank N.A., member FDIC. Terms apply. This episode is brought to you by ServiceNow. Look, I have my dream job. I get to talk to folks I admire like crazy and ask them virtually any question that I want to. I can't imagine a better way to spend my time. But even dream jobs have some not so dreamy parts, the stuff that gets in the way of the actual work. Now, that's where ServiceNow's AI specialists come in. They don't just tell you what you should do about your busy work. They actually do it, start to finish. Cases closed, requests handled, no extra work for you. So you and your team can focus on what matters most, which for me is, are they obsessed with male bodies on the same level as I am?
They never are.
To learn how to put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com.
Living your best life means being extra where it counts and skipping the extra where you don't need it. Like in your cleaning products. That's where Seventh Generation comes in. Their bio-based cleaning power delivers a powerful clean with nothing extra in the bottle. Need a dish soap that cuts through the tough grease? A detergent that tackles the worst stains and odors? Seventh Generation handles it all without any dyes or artificial fragrances. Real clean doesn't have to come with a long list of add-ons. Upgrade to a powerful clean without anything extra. Look for Seventh Generation dish soap and laundry detergent wherever you shop for your cleaning products.
That sounds like a unattractive nullification of everything that's good in life.
Right. So confront that, because I imagine I'm listening and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
why
all,
would I want that?
all the highlights
Yeah.
of my day are like
Yes.
getting hungry and satisfying it, getting
Right.
horny and fucking, and then getting bored and getting drunk, whatever.
Yeah. Well, so it comes down to what it's like to satisfy each of these desires. So like the high you get when you cancel the desire by gratifying it,
Mhm.
right? So the hot fudge sundae hits the tongue, right?
Mhm.
Or you're finally, uniting with the object of your love.
The clothes are off.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the warm bodies have finally made contact, right?
Yes, here we go.
Right. So again, the real moments of surrender to peak experience there. I mean, I shouldn't oversell the pleasures of any of these experiences, because the reality is that most of the time our satisfaction is fairly mediocre, even when we're getting the good stuff, right? It's
Right.
like we're kind of skating across the top of the present moment and not really landing. But in those moments where we land, where it's just like you forget yourself because this is so good. Right?
Yeah.
Those are kind of peak experiences that keep us coming back to the 10 things that are on the menu, right?
Yeah.
That don't change very often. But what we want is that state of mind of a nullification of self by a total engagement with the seeing, the hearing, the smelling, the tasting, the touching, the feeling of the present moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want a full collision with the present such that it totally suffices, right? So there's no thought about past and future necessary because this is it. And
Right.
that is, again, a quality of attention. It's never what is attended to. I mean, you can get that with any arbitrary object. And so what's paradoxical about this is that does seem to cancel the importance of any particular thing in life. I mean, like it cancels the, like, what's the point of having a family or having a career or having just struggling for anything if it's possible to recognize that just the view outside that window, any arbitrary tree is the beatific vision, right? Like where you can feel like, you're completely at one with the universe.
Antithetical to ambition or progress or anything future oriented.
So the saving grace there or the cosmic joke is that even recognizing this and even spending a lot of time training to access this, for most of us, we're still going to want many other things and be taken in by those wants and have to work for them, right? Like it's just, I spend a lot of time thinking about these things. I've spent a lot of time meditating. I've done a lot of psychedelics. I've spent, I probably spent 2 years on silent retreat in my 20s. I now have a meditation app, which I'm constantly talking about. And yet there are all kinds of things that are still important to me that require creative thought and effort to maintain, right? So I've got relationships and other projects, and it's possible to more and more exemplify the life of somebody who doesn't see the point in any of those things. For at least 30 years, I've known the logic by which someone would become a Buddhist monk, say, or kind of a fundamental renunciate, and just spend
sit on top of a mountain.
Yeah, all their time meditating.
Because I look at that and I go, well, why even fucking be born, right?
Yeah, and ironically, the person who is really fulfilling that program would sort of agree, right? They'd
have no retort.
They've achieved a state. I mean, the whole point is to no longer be moved by the possibilities of experience. But what you have to realize is that the state of being in which that is true of you is so amazingly tranquil and beautiful, right? Like, I mean, just the peak of the times when you can honestly say, it doesn't matter if I live or die now, right? Like there's no fear of death. There's no fear of loss. There's just no problem to solve.
Yeah. And I would also just counter, if I understand it correctly, or at least my understanding of it is, the transition is, you could still be ambitious and you could still be engaged in a lot of different endeavors. The big transition, and this is when I'm happiest, is just it's now about the process and not about the result. That to me feels like the mindful way to be productive and still work.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, the results are not ever entirely under your control, and the process is your life, right? Like the results are these micro moments. Again, more and more, living a fulfilling life is figuring out how to enjoy the process, whatever that is, and so even how to enjoy stress. Meditation ultimately is not a matter of being without stress. It's recognizing that, again, the analogy to working out, I think, is apropos here. It's like when you go to the gym, you're going for the stress, right? You're imposing, you're creatively imposing a useful stress on yourself, but you also want to be the kind of person who, when you leave the gym, can really relax. There's a psychological analogy there, which is you can mindfully engage very stressful, creative enterprises. The crucial difference between someone who actually knows how to practice and someone who doesn't is being able to just put down the burden whenever you want. Again, back to anger. How long are you going to spend being angry the next time anger arises? Well, if you don't know how to meditate, you will be angry for as long as the neurophysiology and the situation dictates, right? Whether that's a minute or an hour or 2 weeks, whatever it is, right? With all of the attendant consequences, all the bad conversations, all the bad decisions, all the bad tweets that, that invoke a tsunami of hatred. So you'll derange your life as much as you do. Once you can actually decide to just let go of it, then you can decide at any point to let go of it. That is the near-term rational goal. I mean, if your meditation can't do that, then it's not actually working for you, right? So that's a very discrete skill that it's kind of a near-term landmark, which, people will acquire or not. And, I would recommend that if they haven't, then they need to keep looking into it.
Yeah, and even calling it a stressor, this is another area where like reframing that is useful, which is stress can also be seen as excitement. It's how you think of it. For me, as, say, a comedian who walks out on stage sometime without a script and I have to entertain people for 2 hours, that, quote, stress is fuel for me. It makes my brain operate in a way it doesn't normally. So when I'm seeing it as like, oh, yeah, here we go. I recognize these sensations. And these sensations generally, for me, result in me thinking quicker and performing and whatever. It doesn't have to be a negative thing.
Right. And one point there, which I've often found useful, is that it's helpful to just connect with the raw energy of a so-called negative emotion, right? So if you're anxious before going out on stage, that framed one way, that's a problem. Framed another way, that's just the energy of the moment.
Right.
You'll be quicker on your feet with that wind in your sails than without it.
Yeah.
The negative valence of it can just come off if you just reframe it that way. And so it is with any negative emotion. Like the freedom that comes from mindfulness, real mindfulness. I mean, there's sort of different stages of practice, but there's a crucial stage where you recognize where it's not about being mindful so that negative emotions go away, right? You're not meditating so that the anger will go away. You're not pushing it out of consciousness. That actually is never actually mindfulness. I mean, mindfulness entails truly accepting whatever's arising in that moment.
Well, it would be not craving relief from that anxiety. It would be recognizing this is something that's happening and it has, some value.
Yeah, or just becoming interested in it. Just being wide open to it.
Because it is interesting. You're just this thing. And because this context has changed, now there's a lot of stuff going on biochemically, and that's a fascinating aspect of being a human. We're not just stagnant.
Yeah. But it also, when you connect to it purely at the level of the neurophysiology, just the feeling in your chest and stomach and face, it ceases to have any psychological import, right? Then it becomes a lot like a pain in your knee or indigestion or something that you wouldn't normally, while it might be unpleasant, you wouldn't read into it a global assessment of who you are as a person.
You're not sending out an SOS.
Yeah, you're not like, why am I the kind of person who feels this itch on his thigh?
You're right. There's no character assessment.
But when you feel anxious in front of a crowd, you feel like, oh, fuck, like, why am I this guy, right?
I'm failing.
Yeah. And so to break the link between the character assassination and the sheer physiology of it, you can just be open and interested in the raw feeling of the sensations. And that's mindfulness in that case. But when it really works, there is a kind of one taste. One taste is actually a jargon phrase within one school of Buddhism. There's a single taste to experience in a way, because there really is just consciousness and its contents in each moment. I mean, the analogy that's often used is to a mirror. Like just as a mirror reflects everything impartially, and it doesn't matter whether what's being reflected is ugly or beautiful, or whether it was, something's on fire. I mean, it's like from the mirror's frame of reference, there's just an expanse of light. And consciousness has that quality to it when you keep dropping back into merely witnessing experience as it arises. You notice more and more that which is aware of joy is exactly the same thing as that which is aware of sadness. So then that would cause you to wonder, well, then why put so much emphasis, in your life on seeking joy and seeking to avoid sadness? The truth is, wisdom more and more is a matter of having a kind of baseline of tranquility and well-being amid those inevitable changes in life such that, the joys come and the sadnesses come.
Well, and that's the thing that's not really, it's undersold in our advertising, I would just say. It doesn't seem to be a state of mind that as a kid is glorified in any way that you would go out and seek it. But
tranquility,
or in AA, the real goal is like contentment. To know contentment is for an addict the most elusive thing, right? Because you're just constantly recalibrating how you feel inside or chasing something that'll recalibrate that. And so the notion of contentment is the most elusive thing in the world. And it's not something that makes for a good movie or a good ending of anything or this great story. So it's not, it doesn't seem to be something that we value as a virtue or something that we aspire to have.
No, it needs to be rebranded, but
yes, that's a great way to say it.
But it is the place, when you pay attention, it is the place you want to live from more and more. It's like it's how you want to show up for other people. I mean, the alternative is to constantly be imposing your desires on the people around you. You want all these things, right?
Yeah,
You're going to judge all these things. You're going to be, they say something that doesn't totally align with what you wanted them to say, and you're contracted, right?
Yeah.
And then you're trying to put out a fire with your words in each
to
subsequent
get them
moment.
back in alignment.
Yeah,
with what
just like,
you
no,
want to
that's not,
happen.
And you're constantly reacting to everything, right? And essentially, like your mind is already like Twitter, right? Like Twitter is just the most
reactive,
caricatured version of this. But basically, your Twitter feed is already your mind.
It's not the bio statement; it's the feed.
No, right.
I will often get like attacked by somebody, and I'll go look at their bio, and it's like, love all day, spread blah, blah, blah. I was like, hold on a second. You used to call me some pretty horrendous names. Now, one of the things I was curious about is, so you've put together this app and you have an approach to meditation and mindfulness. And it's kind of like what are the ethics of this? And the reason I asked is I just happened to watch, I don't know if you've seen it yet, the Bikram Netflix. Did you see it yet?
I've seen probably half of it, but
I love it. I don't know why that's so delicious to me.
He's a charlatan of such heroic proportions. It's amazing.
I listened to the podcast. It's a great 30 for 30 podcast on him, like a 5 or 6 parter. That's just phenomenal. Monica and I both listened to it.
Yeah.
And now there's and then he was on HBO Real Sports, and he was saying that women would pay $1 million for an ounce of his semen, which is just, I just aspire to that kind of self-image.
It's a sentence that can't be uttered with much dignity, it turns out. It turns out there's no right number to put at the end of that sentence, which makes you sound like a mensch uttering it.
You're right.
$75.
That sounds fair. He was in a situation where he came here and he sold these, I don't know if it's 26 poses, I think. And
26 kind of patented sequence of poses. Yeah.
Yes, and that was his magic recipe, later to be revealed as being minimally his master's recipe. And you are in a position where it's like none of these thoughts are proprietary to you, but maybe your arrangement of them are, or your synthesis could be proprietary. So what are you drawing from, and what's the Sam Harris spin?
Yeah, well, so I'm drawing from my experience above all. I mean, I'm not comfortable saying anything that I can't empirically stand behind myself. I mean, so or if I say something that I can't vouch for directly, I'll make that very clear. It's like, this is what they say in the teachings about X, Y, and Z, but who knows? I'm making claims about what is true, or what I think we have good reason to think is true about the nature of the mind, or the nature of human suffering, or reality at large. I mean, there are many claims that I make throughout my work and also throughout the Waking Up course, because again, my background here is in neuroscience and philosophy, and so there's many kind of streams of knowledge intersecting here, which puts me in a kind of unique. I certainly don't bill myself as the world's greatest authority on any one thing, right? There are certainly better meditators than me, and I've studied with them, right? I've had the benefit of studying with some of the greatest teachers.
And you can recognize in them, like, oh wow, this dude or this gal is on some level I'm just not at. You can see it.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Well, yeah, because first of all, I mean, I had the benefit of studying with some of just who were widely acknowledged some of the greatest meditation masters of the 20th century, right? So but these guys were in their 80s or 70s when I met them.
Can I just ask what the test of that would be? Is there anything demonstrable? Is there anything like, obviously the famous photo of the guy lighting himself on fire and just burning alive, I can easily look at that and go, well, that's far beyond my capabilities.
Right.
I couldn't even have someone like, light my toe on fire without moving.
Well, it's hard because the reality of it is internal to the person's mind, right? You can only expect so much of it to be made visible in how they operate in the world, right? And there's also more to living a good life than being a great meditator. There are clearly examples of great meditators who, because of cultural reasons or, a lack of a real ethical scrupulosity, just completely flame out, right? So in Bikram, I wouldn't think he was actually a great meditator, but he's an example of.
But maybe the Bhagwan.
Osho's interesting.
Osho,
that's another great documentary, Wild Country. Yeah,
probably the best.
Yeah.
I'm so in love with Mahanad Sheila. I can't even stand it. She sent a 25-year-old gal to Oregon and built a city, and she did it. I couldn't do that.
That's hilarious. Yeah, and just bust in all the homeless people to change the vote for you. Yeah. Unfortunately, the punchline here is not as clear psychologically or ethically or spiritually as we would want it to be. It would be great to be able to say that Osho, for instance, was just a fraud, right? He grew the beard long enough and no one could tell that he was a fraud, but he was in fact a fraud. I don't think that's true of Osho.
I don't either.
Right. So there are many layers to the story, but one layer is he actually was a very insightful person who had some measure of real practice experience and some real insights into the nature of mind, and then was a great curator of the insights of others. I mean, he could go back to the literature and talk about the Buddha and the Upanishads, and he was very eclectic in what he used as source material, but he was also smart, and he came up with his own analogies, and so he was an authority of a sort. But then when you put these people in the role of being a guru, surrounded by people who, for good and bad reasons, idolize them, right? So on one level, the good reason is, in the beginning, you know absolutely nothing, right? And you're being introduced to a possibility of freeing yourself from unnecessary suffering. And your gratitude toward, in this case, the guru, for being led to those insights is not misplaced. I mean, the gratitude is totally appropriate. So it's possible to get benefit even while being exploited by somebody who's really exploiting you. That's not an argument for it being a good thing to be exploited by a guru in general, right? It would be better to have a real teacher who was not in it just to screw people over or to sleep with his students or whatever the vice is, right? Yeah. And that's possible, right? It's possible to meet someone who actually has canceled their own rapacious grandiosity and narcissism and desires enough so that they're not deranged by the role that they've been placed in as a teacher. Yeah. And you can be effortlessly ethical, even while confronted by other people's projections and all the rest. But clearly it's not a role that is easy for most mortals to navigate.
I'd say nearly impossible. It's really hard to find those examples.
It's like you're a rock star where, in addition to all of the fame-related adulation that a rock star gets, you're also genuinely transforming people's lives.
Truly helping people.
Yeah. And so you get a layer of gratitude on that Axl Rose didn't get, right?
Yes.
But I mean, back to your question, I mean, given what is unique about my past as a meditator, as somebody who learned these techniques in a Western context and in a non-religious context, though I do think, Buddhism, some strands of it more than others, is almost uniquely wise on this point of just how to practice meditation and what there is to be recognized about the nature of mind when you do it. The religion of Buddhism has zero interest for me, right? Yeah. And is worth criticizing as
you don't have any of those fountains at your house?
Well, I do I love the artwork.
I knew it.
But not just
you have all the iconography.
But I also like Christian artwork too. Yeah. I like mosques too. I mean, I'll go all the way with you. It's the ideas that trouble me. Sure. It's, I mean, a 21st century conversation about human well-being and the nature of mind. Like, that's my Venn diagram of those competencies that's what's unique about my take on meditation. So I am explicit in my gratitude for and original reliance on the teachings of specific strands of Buddhism, like the Dzogchen teachings within Tibetan Buddhism. And
Okay,
so the teachers who really got through to me were Dzogchen teachers, Tibetan lamas, one in particular, Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, who taught a kind of non-dual mindfulness practice.
A non-dual mindfulness.
Yeah. The crucial point is the sense that there's something behind your eyes
Right.
looking out at the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That feeling of being behind your face, right? That is the illusion that mindfulness ultimately allows you to cut through.
Uh-huh.
And thereafter, once you have done that, every moment of mindfulness is synonymous with being mindful of that, the fact that consciousness has no center to it. So if you're seeing something, I mean, I can look at my hand. The dualistic default state is to feel like I'm over here. I, as the conscious witness, I'm somehow over here, looking
Observing.
across space at this object that is my hand.
Yeah.
But
That's easy to get to, Monica. Are you-
right,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
there.
looking at my
I'm
hand, I feel
following.
like that's what's
yeah,
happening.
and so that's the starting point. But if you look at any object, now you take your hand, and you try to turn attention upon itself. If you look for what's looking, right? If you look for your face, if you look for your head, you can recognize an initial moment of trying to make that turn, right? I mean, it sounds impossible, but if you look for the center of experience, you cannot find it in a way that's conclusive. I mean, the center can just drop out and you recognize it's just this single sphere of experience. There's just the world.
Now, are you able to extend that out? Will you go so far, or does this get too metaphysical? This is kind of the Michael Pollan stuff with psilocybin, where
Right.
the side of your brain that can allow you to feel connected to all the things, not even forget your body or your consciousness, that can illuminate how interwoven all of it is. Can you go that far with it, or does it break down for you at that point?
Well, I want us to be honest about the experiential component and then the theorizing or there's the conceptualizing, the thoughts that are being added to the experience, right?
Yeah.
And, I'm agnostic as to what we can say about reality at large on the basis of these kinds of experiences.
Yeah. I guess I'm asking, do you believe in a collective consciousness?
Well, again, I mean, to believe in that would be to answer some of these questions that we don't have answers to, right?
Okay.
But I do know that the only difference between us can't be at the level of consciousness, because consciousness is just the sheer fact that anything is being experienced at all. We're talking about differences in the contents of consciousness. So there's Dax-like contents being known over there.
Mm-hmm.
There's Sam-like contents being known over here. To change places isn't even a coherent idea, because we're just talking. I mean, if I were aware of your contents, I would be you. Right?
Well, I can fantasize and imagine a state. Again, for me, it would have to be drug-induced, where you and I would somehow magically kind of join consciousness, or at least overlap in some significant way.
Well, you can definitely imagine that. Whether that's possible by some spooky mechanism, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm actually open-minded on that topic, but it's something for which we don't have much evidence of it being so. But despite the fact that many of us have had weird experiences, but it's definitely something that you could create technologically. I mean, and it is in fact true of an intact human brain as it is. I mean, the fact that your hemispheres of your brain have not been divided as they are, when people get a surgery for grand mal seizures,
Right.
there's a sharing of contents across the hemispheres, which if we created an artificial commissure between our two brains, you could easily imagine a sharing of contents.
Yeah. I tried the last time you were here I tried unsuccessfully to get you to tell me why you're interested in the things you are, or maybe to some level of success.
I don't remember that, so
Yeah.
so it'll be a fresh answer to.
Well, this is
Yes,
slightly
we can.
different. You probably will see it as totally symmetrical and congruous, but I, from the outside, will say there is a big side of Sam that, there's the original Sam who went and studied philosophy. So that's one type of guy, right? And then there's the Sam who then did drugs, right? Had some experiences that made you think there are more experiences to be had. And then that led you on a trip to India and your discovery of meditation and whatnot. And then there's going to UCLA and neuroscience, which is a very empirical science, historic, right? These are all categories of kind of thought. And then yet always still exploring this other thing, as much as you would probably like to position it as something kind of empirical or measurable. It's not that. It is ultimately your experience with meditation. You have a little bit of paradoxical interests, I'll say. I know you won't see them that way.
No, I don't. Well, I can tell you why I don't. First of all, any internal experience is like this, right? So if I tell you, there's actually an area in the visual field where you're not getting any information at all. So if you close one eye, I could move an object into the visual
into the blind spot,
and it's gone. And here's why you should believe that this is likely so. Even before you experience it, I can tell you about the anatomy of the eye and say that the optic nerve passes through the retina because it was designed backwards by an omniscient God, and so there's this massive blind spot, right?
Designed backwards by an omniscient.
And so there's no way you're getting data there, and so let's just check this out. There's got to be a way to see this directly, and lo and behold, there is. And in 5 minutes, you can teach anyone to do this.
But
right?
all that said, let's just say you and Adam Grant, great interview. We then talked to Adam Grant.
Right.
He is a very smart person. You just couldn't find any traction, and that's totally fine. And I am someone on the outside who respects both of you, and I can just go like, yeah, I've had the experience at Sam's, not to the level that you've had, but some taste of that experience, where to me, everything you're saying makes total sense, and I believe it. And it's in the same way that I would, which I so often have to do, is explain the cult I'm in, AA, and why it somehow was the one thing that got me to get sober. And there's a lot of stuff in there that I just have to accept is kind of indefensible in ways.
Again, I think we can do better than that. Now, there may be ways in which it would be rational to change AA for the better, so as to actually help more people. Yeah. No one's going to be harmed by these changes, and it'll just be to the benefit. I'm saying there's some optimal protocol for everyone, and maybe there's 5 different variants, or maybe we could 200 years from now we'll be able to scan your brain and give you a totally bespoke behavioral change program that's perfect for you. Right?
Yeah.
And, as far as my debate with Adam about the wisdom or utility of meditation, that really is just an experience he hasn't had, right? So it's
totally.
But
Andy's right in saying that there are a lot of claims that aren't necessarily conclusively backed by studies.
Well, but this is where I agree with him, where many of the claims that are made about the benefits of meditation are either premature or they're not even the point in the end. I mean, so you can read studies which show or purport to show that meditation boosts the immune system, right?
Yep.
Or it'll stave off, cortical degeneration, right? Like age-related thinning of the cortex. Now, that all may be true. None of it may be true. None of what's really interesting about meditation is predicated on any of that being true.
Right.
So that's not the science I'm putting any weight on.
Right.
Though I'm interested in it, and it would be great if all the good
claims
facts
were
true.
substantiated.
But the place to actually put your weight scientifically, where you're on firmer ground than not, here is where insights in meditation are actually bringing your experience of your mind into closer register with what you have every reason to believe is true from the third person neurophysiological side, right? So very much analogous to the blind spot. Like, we know the anatomy of the eye. We know that actually predicted that the blind spot would be subjectively discoverable, right?
Yeah.
We know there's no self in the brain. We know there's no ego.
You've cut it up.
Unchanging me just lurking there for 75, 85, 95 years, right? There's no place in the brain where it all comes to. There's no unitary anything in the brain, right?
Yeah.
It's a process. It's a structure, but it is a structure that is substrate for a process of neurophysiology described at one level, information processing described at another level, but there's no man riding the horse. And then drugs have been an indispensable component for many of us in that they cancel beyond any possibility of doubt the uncertainty as to whether or not it is possible to have a fundamentally different experience of consciousness in the present moment.
Yeah, you're occupying the exact same physical world, and it's all completely different,
Completely
which is
different, yeah.
fascinating.
And
it should give everyone a question. It should make everyone question how certain the one we're experiencing right now is.
Yeah, and it is just, in fact, true that the pharmacology of drugs is such that the drugs aren't causing your brain to do anything your brain can't do, right? They're mimicking neurotransmitters or changing the level at which they're
it's all the medicines
reabsorbed
in
or
your
expressed.
brain,
Yes.
weirdly.
Yeah, the receptors are there, so it's either mimicking serotonin or it's doing something to serotonin.
Stopping the uptake.
So, and I think for many people, I think for me, frankly, taking psychedelics in my 20s was the only thing. I mean, I would have been Adam Grant on this issue, I'm sure, but for the fact that I dropped acid and recognized, oh my God, there is a radically different way of being in the present moment than I was ever going to find on my own. Right?
Yeah.
And so to not have that reference point is a disadvantage.
It makes total sense. Yeah. And I had similar thoughts while listening to it. I was merely pointing out that whether you see it this way or not, there are positions and there are areas you can speak as an expert on that would win in a court case, let's just say. And then there's other things that this is my story and you can choose to try it or not.
Well, no, but it's also, again, you can do better than that. You can force someone to recognize that it's their story too.
Is it interesting to you in your own life that you have come onto the scene and accrued a large audience of people who like listening to you talk about one thing in one lane? And then there's another group of people who have followed you over to some other thing. And I know to you they're the exact same thing, but to me they're different things.
Right.
Okay? One is like a little bit inflammatory. One is provocative.
Remind me not to hire you as a publicist.
One is provocative. One is inflammatory, incendiary. One creates argument. One is literally a path to perhaps contentment. And now you have these two spheres in your life. You have your podcast, which I would say from the outside, you may disagree, but I would say has evolved in and of itself, where it is increasingly less inflammatory in some ways, either because it's just too fucking exhausting to fight those battles. I mean, that's probably a big chunk of it. But then there's another part is that you get older, you care about different things. There's hills you want to die on, and they're not hills you want to die on. I think that's just part of being a human and evolving. Howard Stern has a different show today than he had 25 years ago. It doesn't make him fraudulent in either end of that career. Is it exciting to you? Does it seem like a lighter life to spend your time in the app direction?
Yeah, well, this is a good question. Honestly, there is a unifying way to view this, but part of it is, as you suggest, everything's a work in progress, and I've begun to notice that certain battles are not worth fighting, or at minimum, they're worth fighting more efficiently, right? So I spend less time on certain points. I'm not avoiding controversy on the podcast as much as I'm cutting my losses sooner. And so that is giving a different character.
Yeah.
It's like there's certain people who I've in the past thought, why not roll the dice and try to have a conversation with this person, on air for a million people to listen to. And now I'm curating those choices a little more intelligently, I think, in the end. I mean, it's not that, I don't have massive regrets, but I do feel like there was a period on my podcast where the podcast was basically a symptom of what social media was doing to my brain. So Twitter was amplifying certain voices and giving me the sense that certain things really had to be responded to.
That there was consensus. That's what I always fall for. I think if I read, you and I talked about this in the Mark Duplass thing. It's like I've been on the inside of it where I do assume that 1,200 comments is consensus of 2 million people, which is a bizarre.
Yeah,
but I do. I'm just a human, and I start feeling that way.
It's a kind of a failure of the interface. But it is the response to that for me is to just spend less time seeing what's coming back at me. My feeling is if it's really important, I will notice it some other way at this point. But because it even gets worse than Twitter. I mean, I have a Reddit, a subreddit, devoted to me. I think there's now 2, but the original one got captured by like an army of the woke, such that it basically the Sam Harris subreddit, the main one, is filled with people who just despise me.
Sure,
Like
sure.
so if I felt like I had to pay attention to that, much less respond to it, that would be a very different. But there was one time where in the last few months where I was hearing enough rumors from other channels that this had gotten so out of hand that I really should say something to respond to what was happening in my subreddit. And so the main thing was like just being attacked as a white supremacist. And so I actually devoted 3 podcasts, 2 of my own, and one I made an appearance on someone else's podcast to try to put out that fire. Right. Now, I don't know whether that was a complete waste of time or worth doing, but generally speaking, you're right. I'm curating my own controversy diet a little more carefully.
So for me, I don't know how you look at it, but for me, I too seem to be more and more just avoiding stuff I used to get ensnared with. And I think my global thought on it or perspective is basically like, it's almost just high school. Like I can bond with a group of people because I hate Michael Jackson, or I can bond with people because I love Prince.
Right.
I can weed people out by either of those methods. Now, if I choose to weed people out by saying I love Prince, now the people I've attracted, we can do something with that. Let's go see Prince play. Whereas if I've selected my friends by I hate Michael Jackson, now what? Let's not buy his CDs. There's almost something intrinsically not productive about it.
Yeah, except on those points where swap in Trump. It's like if you want to get rid of Trump next time around, you have to spend a lot of time making the case for why that would be a good thing.
Assuming that the people that you need to persuade are actually listening, which I'd argue they're not. But I do think there is a kind of global thought I'm coming towards, which is like, I can say the same message by just letting you know what I love. I need to broadcast and spend my energy amplifying the things I love. Is it Steven Pinker's take on this? Is it this guy's take on this? Or do I need to spend my energy and time refuting somebody I basically don't agree with? Like what is tactically a better agenda in life?
Yeah. Well,
you don't think it's either or?
For me, I think I have to do both. But what I have now with the app, the difference now is that what was so phantasmagorically strange about launching the app was for the first time in living memory, I got back
all love.
All love.
Yes.
That was one thing, but that wasn't even the most startling thing. What I got back was no misunderstanding as to what my intentions were.
Yes.
It's like my intention, I'm putting this out because I have found this incredibly valuable. These are the most valuable things I've ever learned. Here, maybe you'll find them valuable.
Yes.
And all I got back was a pure, both just appreciation, which is great, but just no misunderstanding, right? Which was such, I forgot that anyone has a life like that, where you just put stuff out in the world and it makes people happy, and they tell you, right? And so for all the books I've written and all the the podcasts I've done, I had just habituated to the natural state of things, which is however good your intentions, however clear you try to make them, however fair you try to be to your opponents, your day-to-day experience will be to be vilified for things you don't actually believe.
And again, just in my personal life and experience, there's been one topic in my life that's transcended all other things I care about, which is if some dude wants to get sober because he's on the verge of dying, I help that person.
You've got something to say.
And quite often, I don't agree with anything that person thinks.
Right.
But I've done this one thing that I've elevated above all other things, which is help someone save their life from addiction. And so I've been lucky in that I've had the experience of like, well, that is very fucking rewarding. Like when I've seen guys who now have a family and are employed and stuff, I'm like, oh, wow, that kind of trumps all the other things I care about. Just for me. I know everyone's got their own narrative they're telling, but for me, it's just a hugely rewarding feeling.
Yeah, I recognize that it looks kind of incoherent or at least very different from the outside, but all of these things come together for me in a recognition of the truly absurd power of bad ideas.
Mm-hmm.
This covers like our own moment-to-moment psychological suffering and our beliefs about ourselves and the nature of mind and what we are as people and our kind of our misapprehension of all that. But then just the bad ideas that scale to the level of culture that become this larger operating system that we're all struggling to get free of. The culture we build is so often not aligned with our deeper values that we could figure out in 5 minutes,
I think the only thing you and I differ on is I think if people had that road to self-fulfillment, I think so many of the other problems that we spend a lot of time fighting over or trying to correct for would magically evaporate. I really do believe that.
I know, I agree. I agree with you there. Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, oh, maybe I would just put all my attention and energy into like each individual I can help reach fulfillment. And then that other stuff that was appealing that I was fighting against might just erode on its own.
Yeah. I view all of the fights as an opportunity cost. I mean, basically, at least 80% of what I've paid attention to in the last 15 years or so, I view as much of it seemed necessary at the time, certainly. And in retrospect, I can't say that I regret it, but it definitely was an opportunity cost. And what I'm paying attention to on the app is the real opportunity. I mean, it's the real thing I wanted to pay attention to.
I'm not being critical of your past. I'm excited that you have these two channels that are a little different.
On,
Like I enjoyed, selfishly, I like to listen to your podcast and have you defeat someone I have an opposite opinion of.
Right.
From.
Right. Yeah.
That's some thrill for me.
Right.
But then I used your app and I came into it with some baggage, which is I've done TM and I think that works for me. So I'm like, I don't know why I need to learn Sam's version of this. Right. So I'm already coming in maybe with a little more baggage than someone else. And I'm sitting there in my wife's closet listening to it and I'm like, oh, fuck, I feel calm and content. And this is wonderful.
Right.
I owe Sam a bigger thank you for this than I do when he's dethroned someone I don't agree with. I think if I could sum it up in that experience.
I mean, I can't say that I've closed the door to the controversy just because I know the next 12 months, politically speaking, is just going to force my hand.
Yeah. But, you'll get right back into that kitchen.
Yeah,
and turn that boiler up.
But Twitter, I've broken up with Twitter to a degree that I think I will. I mean, I still use it, but I really have reconfigured my brain with respect to that piece of social media.
All right. Well, I could have. I didn't even get to any of the things. Every time you're here, I have a panic that I wish I had you for. Just answer one question. Some people will listen to this and they'll go, "Oh, yet another luxury of rich people." Like the way people are critical of like eating organic. Like, well, yeah, if I had a ton of money and I go to Whole Foods and I had time, blah blah blah. All semi-realistic complaints. I certainly have more time to evaluate. I have the freedom. I was saying this the other day in an AA meeting. Got in a fight with my wife. I went downstairs and worked out. I was running for about an hour. About 30 minutes into the run, I was able to see, I wasn't stellar in that argument. I don't think I was really trying to see her point of view, blah, 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 blah. I had an hour to reflect on it. I came back upstairs. I apologized for how I was acting. And then we went on without our day. And I recognized what a fucking gift. I have an hour to run on a treadmill. A lot of people get in that fight with their wife. They go straight to that second job or whatever the thing is, whatever fire they're putting out. So I do recognize I'm super privileged in many ways. I have an hour to reflect sometimes. But just say why this isn't an elite endeavor to meditate or anything.
Well, so at a certain level, even to be able to think about living a fulfilling life, I mean, even to have a concept of happiness is a privilege, right?
Sure.
If you're spending your time along with your 8 children searching a landfill outside of Calcutta or Bombay just to find scraps, right? You don't have the time for any of this stuff. You can have as fine-grained a view of that hierarchy as you want, but yes, that is true and undeniable, and we should want to engineer a civilization which causes the floor for needless human suffering and drudgery to just keep rising so that the worst lives of the 21st century and the 22nd century become unimaginably good, right? I mean, that's got to be the global endgame for us. It still doesn't negate the fact that certain things are true about the nature of the mind, and you either have the time and interest to discover these things or not, right?
Right.
And this is true anywhere else. I mean, science is a luxury. If you're living in a failed state, no one's got the free attention to do science. It doesn't mean that science isn't there to be done. On the narrow financial point, one thing I've always been clear about, and it's right there in the pricing on the app. If you can't afford a subscription to the Waking Up app, should never be the reason why you don't use it. If you just send us an email to support@wakingup.com, we'll give you a free year on the app. And if your luck hasn't changed at the end of the year, just send another email. And there's there's zero judgment about that. I mean,
I think that's lovely.
That's very
of you.
nice. Yeah.
And that's true with all I wish that were true of everything I've ever produced. I mean, you can't do that with a physical book, but for all my digital stuff, that's always true.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, like, I think it's now like 150 people send that email every day, right? So, I mean, we now have, thousands and thousands of people doing that. So zero judgment there. The thing I do have judgment on is just the expectation that all digital work should be free, right? Because this is just not, ultimately you're going to get what you pay for. It has to make sense for people to spend their lives producing content. Right?
Yeah. Well, yours is really great. I just want to give a personal testimony that I really liked it. And there's like a historical aspect to it. Like you can learn about it. You can just go through 50, the first?
Well, the introductory course has 50 sessions.
50 sessions.
And now there's essentially a podcast channel within the app. It's called Conversations, but I'm now just interviewing other teachers and scholars and scientists on related topics. So occasionally one of those episodes is also appearing on my podcast. But for the most part, I'm assuming my podcast audience doesn't want to hear about the specifics of meditation or ethics or the related science or
right.
So I'm, without ever intending to start a second podcast, I haven't effectively
of course you have.
started a second podcast.
We all just repeat the exact same thing with some different packaging. Right. Well, listen, Sam, I look forward to seeing you arrive in a Rolls Royce one day, and on that day, I'm going to follow you to Oregon or to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, wherever you build your city.
I would need 93 others behind that Rolls Royce.
I really hope you reach Bhagwan status, and I will be the first joyful dancing Rajneeshi to follow you. I adore you, Sam Harris.
Well, likewise. It's great to be back, and thank you for...
And next time, the lifting's going to be on your shoulders in some capacity. When you email me, I was like, oh, great, this time you'll take the lead? And you're like, no, you're still in charge. I'll just show up.
All right, okay. Well, then it's a date.
Okay, great.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
Working on them fact checks. Samuel Harris.
Round 2. We're still on our field trip.
We are. More bless this mess.
Yeah, you're still in your outfit.
Still in my Viking garb.
Yep.
Do you think it's a good look for me? No.
It's not my favorite look.
Okay.
Well, actually,
when I had the horns on.
I like it all.
Okay.
But I don't think it's something you should adopt for your everyday.
I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I had a moment looking in the mirror. I was like, should I start going techno Viking style everywhere?
I could tell you were thinking that.
Yeah, it felt fun.
Well, look, I want you to have a fun life, so...
Yeah, it's just chainmail, sleeveless shirt might be the new thing.
Might be. You never know.
I'm thinking about bringing back my 7th grade haircut, which is super long in back, shaved on the sides.
Mullet?
Spike on top. Yeah, and bangs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because a crew member has got a mullet, and some of the girls here at work are now super into him because of this haircut. And I was looking at his haircut, and I was like, goddamn, is it time? Is it time for the mullet to come back? And I was like, that was my best haircut. I mean, that's when people liked me the most.
I would say not true at all.
Well, you've never seen me in real life with my mullet.
I know that's not when people liked you the most.
7th grade?
That's not when the world liked you the most.
My world.
The world didn't even know you. I'm not going to like that.
Okay.
Okay?
Well,
I'm just going to tell you now.
Could you look at it before you decide, or you got to decide now?
Look, I guess I could look at it, but that'll be too late.
Let's look at some photos from
I
the
know
yearbook.
the picture.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's very cute on a little
12-year-old?
Yeah. And I think it's...
But a 45-year-old might not be.
I think it's going to be that you just need a lot of attention.
Do I lose you at the spike, the bangs, or the long and back?
The long and back.
The long and back.
Is the first thing I need to go.
Okay, on the list.
Uh-huh.
All right.
And then second would be spike.
Because it was a tall one. It was like a 5-inch tall spike.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then bangs. Bangs is fine. Can be fine.
Okay, well, I was going to make the claim that my spike was about the length of the average male penis.
Really?
Which might have had something to do with its appeal. Like maybe there was something phallic or primal.
This is I don't think accurate.
That someone would go like, I fucking like that haircut. It reminds me of a penis.
Yeah, we could put a bet on it like we did last time. But I don't know how we could just poll people.
We would have to send people to the mall to ask them. That's, I think, how they do most research.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think I participated in a few of those studies.
Yeah.
Because I spent so much time in malls.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then there would be a random person that was doing some sort of study.
Market
mall
research.
Study.
Yeah.
Yes. And then they would pay you like $10.
Oh.
Yeah. And I would always do it so that I could then spend that $10.
Oh, I would 100% done it for the money. But I did spend an inordinate amount of time at the 12 Oaks Mall in Novi, Michigan. I mean, 12 hours there on some days.
Yeah. Same.
But they didn't deem Novi worthy of market research, I guess. There was never anyone there.
Bummer.
Yeah.
And what would you do at the mall?
Well, I'd hang with my friends. You'd have some beef with another group of guys. That was imminent. That was going to happen.
Yep.
And then you go to Burger King.
Oh.
Remember that song?
Rectangle sandwich?
No. Oh, yeah. The home of the rectangle sandwich.
Yum.
But remember the song, The Humpty Dance?
No.
The Humpty Dance is the dance doing the hump. Ow, do me, baby. Digital Underground. Anyways, at one point he goes, I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom.
Oh.
And I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom at the 12 Oaks Mall.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so exciting.
That is exciting.
You don't like that story. I could see it on your face. The micro movements in your face I was perceptive of.
You really know how to read those.
I do. Just generally, you don't think people should hook up at the home of the rectangle sandwich? Or just it's gross? Or
No, it's
sound like bragging?
It's fine. No, it's fine. Everyone can do whatever they want. Yeah. You just hooked up everywhere.
Well, I tried. I tried my hardest.
And you did. You succeeded.
It wasn't so like let's say this. I wouldn't have told you that story had there not been a song, The Humpty Dance, where then he talked about it, and I was just like, oh, I see you.
I did that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. How was it? Tell me details, I guess.
It's not what you want it to be. It's not the most hospitable environment for romance.
Was there pee in the toilet already?
I'm sure. I mean, it was a fucking Burger King bathroom at the mall. I'm sure it was in a shambles. Now I regret telling the story. And in fact, over the years, I've learned to stop telling fight stories, which I do a really good job at. Because I think I've only told you 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And there's dozens.
Well, you can tell me.
Can I?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I think it's an unbecoming thing. I'm glad I've stopped.
I already know that about you, so it's not like it'd be a shock.
Yeah, I've learned to recognize what are you doing? The story for someone, whatever. It's not an attractive quality. Me doing that. I used to do it nonstop.
Yeah.
Ad nauseum. And then obviously now I'm learning that telling a hookup story just isn't. People don't like that. Maybe the guys like it. If I find myself in a locker room, but the girls don't like it.
I think that's true. I don't really know why. It's not like it's offensive or anything at all. It's just like, okay, sure.
But I told one the other day in the living room, I was like, you know what? That was a lead balloon and I got to stop that. And I think for people, it was just like, that was weird and gross. And I was like, yeah, I get it. It is weird and gross.
I don't think it's weird and gross. I just think it's like there's a little bit of a good for you quality to it.
Right, because I think the easily implied intention was that I was bragging. But I wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. I think there's something about a hookup story that sounds braggy regardless. And then it's also not really something to brag about because everyone can hook up at any time.
Sure.
And so it kind of just feels like, all right.
Yeah.
But
what if they're really funny, though, like that gal in New Mexico who changed the policy of the hotel? That one's worth telling, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're allowed to do whatever you want.
No, I would aim to not do things that people don't enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I like that about you. And, okay, so.
I'm rounding that corner.
There
Let's
we go.
say that. Yeah,
there we
yeah,
go. Okay.
Yeah.
Real-time progress.
Right.
Anyway, okay, so Burger King, mall,
market research,
sure.
$10. I would have done. Let me just say, I would have done anything for $10 at the 12. Well, really, if they would have said jump off the balcony, I would have been absolutely.
Sure. For the listeners, we got interrupted because Dax had to leave. Now he's back.
Now I'm back.
Now he's back.
But you know who never tells hookup stories? Sam Harris. I've listened to probably 300 hours of him talking, and he's never told a hookup story.
It's not really on brand for him.
It's a little off brand.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it would. His
would
conversations
love
would
to
lend
hear it.
itself. Well, sure. I mean,
trying to
he's
think
talked
how he
about
would
being
do
in
it.
love. He talks about his wife.
Oh,
He
yeah,
talks
he-
about sex.
Right. He's fearless on all topics, but I just imagine how it would sound. There's so many of his words that I love that I try to incorporate into my...
It would have a high vocab.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a bunch of keywords that these are just in regular rotation, and I love them.
Okay. We were talking about the movie Click.
Oh, right, with Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm. And you were kind of giving a synopsis of what you thought it was, but didn't know because you hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Sandler plays Michael Newman, an overworked architect who neglects his family. When he acquires a magical universal remote from Morty that enables him to fast forward through unpleasant or outright dull parts of his life, he soon learns that those seemingly bad moments that he skips over contained valuable time with his family and important life lessons.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I thought it was.
It is.
Yeah.
It sure
Could you tell me about the firefighter one?
Frequency?
No, that he did with
Chuck and Larry.
Oh.
I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
I do remember that.
What was the premise of that one?
Hey, Google, what is I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry about?
Chuck Levine, Adam Sandler, and Larry Valentine, Kevin James, are firefighters and true blue buddies. When Larry, a widower, learns he cannot name his children as beneficiaries on his life insurance policy, he needs a big favor from Chuck. Sign on as Larry's domestic partner. The pals unexpectedly become front-page news and must carry the masquerade to extremes when an overzealous bureaucrat becomes suspicious of their true relationship.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting concept in that you would have a life insurance policy that required you were married or whatever, that just to pass something on to your kids, it would require you to be married. Like if I was using Policy Genius, I would have them filter out ones that require me to stay wed to give my shit to my kids.
That doesn't seem fair even.
No.
Why?
No.
It's still your money and stuff.
Yeah. It's like a pro-marriage conspiracy.
There's too much pro-marriage, pro-family conspiracies happening,
You're
you know.
right. I'm one of the worst offenders.
I've been thinking about this a lot because, you know, there was an incident at the White Elephant. Actually, I don't even know if you know this story.
Oh.
At the White Elephant party, our beautiful Hanson White Elephant party, I got a present that was a, like, Ouija board-ish and then some pot and some stuff. It was like a big package. And then it got stolen from me. And Eric, our friend Eric, said, "Oh, good. I'm glad that got taken. That has a bad energy."
Oh, right. He didn't want you to bring it into your home.
He didn't want me to bring that into the home. He thought it had a bad energy.
Yeah.
And then he said maybe I was going to die if I had it.
Right.
So-
six times more likely to die or something.
And
he
there
said.
was a witch involved. You know, there's lots of stuff. Witchcraft. He was saying that. And I was like, well, we should probably tell Jenny, who got it, that it has a bad energy.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, yeah. Does she have kids?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Oh, okay, that's fine then."
Well, he thought, hold on, though.
No, we're not going to hold on. Well, we are going to hold on. We're going to talk about it.
Well, I could see where he was saying, if that thing's going home to somebody's house, and I think we would agree on this, that you should try to spare the innocent, you know, the young kids.
No. But he wasn't talking about the kids.
He was saying she had less value.
Exactly. He was saying if she died, it mattered less because she doesn't have
true.
children.
That's true as well.
I don't like that at all.
Well, I mean, in that, like,
that's crazy to say.
Well, in that, if one person has a few people depending on them for everything, you know, it seems like it's coming at a greater cost, doesn't it? Or is it just like someone dies and then their cat's just curious, like, oh, I haven't seen them in a few days. But then a cat being a cat forgets it even had an owner after 4 days. And then it gets into the cupboards and, you know, takes care of itself. You don't like it.
Well, of course I don't, because I'm a single person. So that's saying that I'm less valuable as you or as him. And I don't think that's true.
Well, I would say that two things are true. Like, if I was still single and that came up, I would think I deserve to be alive as much as anyone else, personally. And then also I would have been able to say objectively there's going to be more damage if that person with kids dies than me.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be more pain, probably.
Well, again, just dependence, the nature of dependence.
Sure.
You know, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, like, if one person dies, their life's ruined. But then if this other person dies, then maybe 3 lives are ruined.
Well, they're not ruined. It's so sad, but I know many people who've lost parents and their lives
They're
aren't
all
ruined.
fucked up.
No, they're not.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going the
No,
other way.
they're not. They live happy lives, and they had a sad, horrible thing happen to them. I would never wish that on a kid, but it doesn't ruin their lives.
It doesn't ruin all kids' lives, and it ruins some kids' lives for sure.
Yeah, and other things ruin kids' lives as well
Yeah.
that have
Don't
both of
involve
their
death.
parents.
Yeah, true. I guess here's what I'm saying. You're a sniper, and you have to kill someone on the street, or all of humanity dies. And one of the persons has 2 kids, and one of the persons has 0 kids. Which one are you going to pick?
So one of the persons is you, and one of the persons is me.
Well, no, that's not the hypothetical.
But that is the hype. That's exactly my point.
Okay. Well, honestly, though, if you have to kill someone on the street and you have your choice between someone with no kids or someone with kids, which one would you kill?
I don't know.
Okay, good. Sticking to your guns. We don't have any other information. We don't know if they're a good or bad person. All we know is one person has kids and one person doesn't. Everything else is neutral. They have the same moral integrity, and they're both equally of service and not a cost to civilization. The only difference they have is one has 2 kids and one doesn't. I think it's an easy choice.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't favor you in this case, which sucks. Nor would have favored me up until 6 years ago, but I do think we would both make that choice.
Maybe.
You don't like being thought of as less important than other people, and you're not less important. But it's not really an evaluation of importance. It's an evaluation of wreckage and consequences.
But I think that's where the system breaks down. I think that's an emotional thing to say. I think maybe if we had to poll people and we really did some actual research on this, I don't know that that's true.
I mean, granted, we would have to control for all the other variables. Mm-hmm. Like, sure, if Stalin had kids, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Or Hitler did not have children, but you plug in those people with children, and then it's easy. But if everything else is the same,
but not everything is all the same. That single person could be giving tons of money to charity every month, and that dad could be a horrible person, or
That's
a
right.
mom, or whatever, and also
probably a dad.
Or a mom, and be a bad parent, be neglectful. Who knows? Like, the idea that just because you have children makes you more valuable or worthy of life, I don't like that. And I don't think it's true. Like, the immediate reaction is to think that's true, but I think if you really start thinking about it, I don't know that it is. I don't know.
Okay. I won't ever say it to you.
Well, I know you think it, so it's fine. It's also fine. It's fine. He wasn't.
Well, no, there's plenty of people with 2 kids I'd kill before I killed you. Well, that's just because I'm selfish. If it's you on the street and a stranger on the street, and the stranger has 2 kids, I'm definitely killing the stranger. Let's be clear.
Yeah. I don't know.
And in Eric's case, he wanted her to go home with it because he didn't know her. But he knows you, and he did not want you to go home with it. So then he went to of all the strangers, I would prefer that a childless stranger took it home.
Yeah. I understand. I'm not saying it's like foreign to me, but it
just doesn't sit well with you.
It doesn't. Okay. So, he was talking about how some people are more susceptible or less susceptible to hypnosis. And
yeah.
there's a scale, and there's actually a couple scales. There's a Harvard scale and a Stanford scale.
Okay, 2 different competing scales.
And you guys can do.
We like Stanford, right?
Yeah, I mean, we like both. They're both
in theory. We know
unifile
nothing about
schools.
either. We've never attended either place. I've only stood in Harvard. I've never even been to Stanford. But what I think about them is that Stanford's more artistic.
Yeah, well, because it's like
creative.
West Coast, breezy.
Sure.
But if I'm really being honest, if I could go to either of those schools, I would pick Harvard. I mean, they have the Lampoon.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman went there.
Yeah,
I think she had fun.
Mike Schur liked it.
Yeah. I pick Harvard. Okay, so basically there's like a rating system, and there's all these different things that they test for, and there's lots of different sections. It's pretty intensive, but some of the things that they test for are postural sway, eye closure, hand lowering, immobilization, finger lock, arm rigidity, hands moving together, verbal inhibition, hallucination, eye catalepsy, post-hypnotic changes chairs, and amnesia. So I guess they test these people and they rank them on these levels and then come up with whether or not you're susceptible.
I can't imagine I told the story when he brought it up, but I didn't tell the story about when I saw a live hypnotist in Salt Lake City when I was 18.
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. It was one of the most amusing things. If anyone has an opportunity to go see a live one, it's so fun. First of all, this guy had a great accent and he would say, "You feel your body's becoming as stiff as a 2x4." And he said 2x4 instead of 2x4. And I thought, how do they in their hypnosis state understand he's saying 2x4? But at any rate, he had all these people hypnotized on the stage. There was like 8 people. And he told the people, "You're your favorite celebrity."
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going down the line. He's like holding the microphone. I was like, "Now, sir, who are you?" And the guy's like, "I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger," right? And of course, the guy wants to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. And you're going down the people. People are all, who'd you expect? And then you get to this girl. And I had been watching this girl way before he got to her because she was like moving around on her seat and like smiling really big and moving her hands and everything. And then the guy said, "Now, ma'am, who are you?" And she goes, "I'm Minnie Mouse." And her fucking favorite celebrity was Minnie Mouse.
God.
I was like, this person, what a person.
What a person.
That's her favorite celebrity is Minnie Mouse. Could there be a cuter thing?
Okay, now I have a question. Do you
Yeah.
think maybe she was foreign?
No.
And she wasn't.
She
Okay.
wasn't. She was fucking glass of milk. You know what I'm saying? White American.
White
yeah,
bread.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, like if you're skeptical, I'm the most skeptical person. I'm such a cynic. These people were fucking hypnotized.
Yeah.
No one would do in public what they did. I mean, they were doing stuff like maybe Jim Carrey could pull off or Jess.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's so great. It's so embarrassing, but they have no idea. It's great.
It's so interesting.
And then the physical feats are almost impossible too, because they do make themselves stiff as a 2x4. And then he would balance them on 2 chairs and shit, like a plank you can't even imagine doing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
I wonder if I would be susceptible.
Well, your whole not peer pressure thing, I think you wouldn't have let yourself.
Exactly.
Have your guard down.
Yeah.
God knows what this person would do. Yeah.
But also, I hate audience participation more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Break number 2. We're back.
I just drove that golf cart so fast.
Oh, you did? How many miles?
The old
per
cut,
hour?
and I sprint to y'all. And then I jumped in the golf cart and I sped away. Wow. Yeah.
Good job.
Do you know I got in trouble here on the golf cart?
Because you were going too fast.
I came down that hill, I was going really, really fast. Oh, God, now I feel like I'm telling a hookup story. It's like fight story, driving story. So I came down the hill really, really fast, and I locked up the back, and I did a 180, and everyone's out there getting their lunch. It was really a great trick without having rehearsed it.
Okay.
And everyone was so into it, and then the fire marshal was staring at me, and he was about 85 years old.
Oh, boy.
And
Wait, what was the trick? Just going fast?
Well, no, then I locked up the back and did a 180. I spun around and then parked exactly where I wanted to and then got out like I was going into the food trailer.
Did everyone cheer?
People were really into it. It was a big stunt out of nowhere, which is a fun surprise.
Sure.
But the fire marshal, who again was high 80s, was not happy. It was unsafe. I recognize that.
It was unsafe.
Yeah, and I could see the look on his face, and I go, "I'm so sorry." And he goes, "Yeah, not again." And I go, "I won't do it again." He goes, "Do not do that again." And I felt like I was in junior high.
You are. Well.
Emotionally and spiritually.
Yeah.
In junior high.
And face-wise.
Oh, God bless you. God bless yourself.
Oh, we were talking about hypnotism.
Oh, right.
And I was saying I don't think I'm susceptible because peer pressure.
Yeah, you have a long history of not being susceptible.
And I don't like audience participation.
Right. 2 of your triggers.
Big time. Okay, so Sam said... Well, I thought this was a really interesting part of the episode. Sam was talking about how we remember things, our remembered selves versus our
present or experiential
self. Yeah. And anyway, I just find that all fascinating. Also because he said that, there's a high recency effect in how we remember things. So the way it ended is a huge element of our overall thought of a memory is.
Yeah.
Which is so fascinating.
And your memory is just so peculiar in how well it edits out negative stuff. It's like there's so many memories I have that are now, like most of my drug abuse stories to me are now very funny.
Yeah.
But in the time, they were not pleasurable or funny at all. But now, like...
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I was wondering, and I think I said it out loud, but he wasn't sure, if there was research on the amount of people who view things negatively versus positively, which I didn't really find, but I also found some other interesting stuff.
Oh, tell me.
There was this article in Psychological Science about memory and experience, and it says, many studies suggest that we are more likely to remember negative experiences over positive experiences. And according to Laura Carstensen, a psychology professor at Stanford.
1 point to Stanford, 0 to Harvard.
In general, we tend to notice the negative more than the positive. Many psychologists think that this has evolutionary roots. That is, it is more important for people for survival to notice the line in the brush than it is to notice the beautiful flower that's growing on the other side of the way. Carstensen, who is known for her research on aging, said one school of thought believes that our attention to negative events has adaptive value. She said that there's a lot of information to be learned in difficult or dangerous situations and that our brains can apply that knowledge when a similar situation presents itself in the future. Carstensen's research group is studying what she describes as a phenomenon. Paying attention to negative memories is more pronounced among younger people, she said. We think what happens with age is that younger people, because they have these long and nebulous futures, really need to collect a lot of information. And so they remember many things that will possibly help them manage those futures, she said. The older people get, the more they're able to live in the present. And so focusing on positive information makes that present feel good. Simply put, older folks are better at living in the moment and enjoying what's around them.
Ah.
That's interesting.
Well, I have felt like, and it would be hard for me to credit sobriety versus age, but definitely the older I get, the easier going I am.
Yeah.
And the less I have to engage in conflict and all these things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a good part of it is just getting older.
Yeah, and just getting tired.
Yeah. I'm pretty, No, I'm not. I have so much energy.
You're so young.
Yeah, I'm young and I have a lot of energy.
Yeah, you do. I don't.
Well, I know, but you're not old enough yet, too.
Oh, that's
Right.
That's right.
It's opposites.
Yeah.
You know what's really funny? I will say, I notice it in you. You and I have a lot of conversations where I'm like, I know how you feel. And I definitely felt that way when I was 32. And yet I can just now say it doesn't matter so much. Like you and I have had a few of those where it's like, we're equal intelligence, we're equal communicators. And then there's just an age thing where sometimes it's harder when you're younger. Well, only in that you're also gathering data the whole time. And you're like, oh, all those things that I say either did great at and I was really proud of myself, or I came up short and I was really mad at myself. How did they affect the course of my life? And just over time, more and more, you just have more data. You're like AI learning, like, oh, it didn't matter.
I was watching, so there's a cheerleading documentary on Netflix. I saw it last night.
About a college cheer team in Texas?
Yeah.
I saw that and I was interested in it, but then I thought it was scripted, but it's not?
No, it's a doc.
Oh, shit. I would love that then.
Yeah, I couldn't turn it off last night. I was just watching it.
Did you start cheering in your living room?
The mirror neurons were so intense. I mean, I could just relate to every single element of that. Oh,
but that's a great example. It's like the stakes. I think you could have done the same job. You could have cared about the same amount, but the like emotional ups and downs of like, I'm like beating yourself and all that stuff, I don't think was probably necessary.
I totally disagree.
Oh,
the stakes have to be that high if you're going to commit yourself to that level. And I was thinking when I was watching it, some of the skills and stuff that I got over time during cheerleading, and they were so hard for me, and I couldn't do it, and it's so stressful and so much turmoil, and I was crying every day, but I'm so proud of that time and eventually getting those things.
Which again is your narrative self, because it couldn't have been fun crying every day.
The process wasn't necessarily fun, but it felt so good to have worked really hard and had a payoff.
Yeah. This is interesting. There's a famous skier. I think his name is Bodie Miller.
Yeah, that's a famous skier.
Right. And I saw a great 60-minute segment on him, and I believed him. He's like, I am not going to Soji for a gold medal. I am going to Soji to have a perfect run. I really want to have a perfect run.
Yeah.
And everyone else has all their mechanisms for trying to do good. But his, to me, just felt like, oh, that's the aspirational version. Where it's like he does this thing and he's looking for a feeling when he does it.
Yeah.
And I just think that's great.
Yeah.
And I just think that viewpoint gets easier and easier as you get older.
But I don't think Bodie Miller he's still grinding. Like, it's still really hard for him to practice and whatever he's doing. It's grueling to get that perfect run. So sure, his aim isn't a medal, but it's still something he doesn't have and he's aiming to have. And that requires a lot of work.
But grueling's a mindset. So someone who got hired to write and direct Chips would have found that grueling. I did not find it grueling at all. People go like, how could you have, been acting in it and directing it and all those action scenes and doing the stunts and blah, blah, blah. Objectively, that's a lot of work for someone to take on, but it was in no way grueling for me, never once.
Right.
So I can see where Bodie Miller, he's doing a ton of stuff. That doesn't mean it's grueling. It's kind of like your mindset when you're working out. Some people work out and they hate it.
Mm-hmm.
It's miserable. And then other people work out and it's not.
Yeah.
And it's the same activity and people aren't that dramatically different physiologically. It's all just a mental space.
Sure. It is. I mean, I think in athleticism, it's a little different. You're falling, your body hurts. There's real pain that comes with some of that stuff.
So I had to get wrist surgery after Chips because I did a stunt and his helmet landed on my hand wrong and I fucked up my wrist. But again, at no moment of that, even when that happened, I was immediately like, nothing happened. Let's go again. I want to do it again.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. But if I were on another thing with a different context where I was just a gun for hire and I would have been like, why are you going to make me do it a third time? Or why, you know what I'm saying? So I just know in my own experience, it's totally this mental state. It's not about falling or getting hurt. It's about how I feel about falling and getting hurt.
Sure. Anyway, that's all.
That was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Sam, thanks for coming back.
Yeah. Come back again.
Come back every day.
Third time.
Is a charm. Love you.
Love you.